Chapter 1058. After searching for more than 10 days, Mo Qingyun still couldn't find any trace of Song Jian. It was as if Song Jian had evaporated into thin air. Although he couldn't find Song Jian, Mo Qingyun didn't feel the slightest bit of impatience. He was still immersed in the joy of searching. Because during these 10+ days, Mo Qingyun had hunted and killed another 10+ exalted realm body devils, and he'd refined the bloodlines within their bodies. After refining the bloodlines of these body demons, Mo Qingyun's physique had once again improved. The toughness of his body was comparable to a mid-tier magic tool. Now, the toughness of my body is comparable to a mid-tier magic tool. The tacit understanding between my limbs and head has increased by more than a few times. After stretching his body and seeing that the toughness of his body had improved once again, Mo Qingyun revealed a brilliant smile and spoke excitedly. The stronger the tacit understanding of his body, the stronger the power he could display when he circulated his yuan power and bloodline power. For example, how much water a wooden bucket could hold was based on the shortest wooden board. Mo Qingyun's body's previous condition was similar to that of a wooden bucket holding water. Because the toughness of his body was too weak, no matter how strong his limbs were, they couldn't display too much of their combat strength. Now that his body had been strengthened, it was like the shortest wooden board in a bucket. It had suddenly become much taller and could hold more water. It was also because of this that if Mo Qingyun fought with someone now, the strength he could display would undoubtedly become stronger. With the toughness of my body and bloodline power now, even if I don't use the power of laws, I'm afraid that I can fight with an ordinary martial saint realm expert. After estimating his strength, Mo Qingyun immediately revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. However, after a moment of joy, Mo Qingyun's expression became serious. Tempering the physique is like tempering a tool. The later it is, the more difficult it is. If I want to raise the toughness of my body to the level of a high-tier magic tool, I'm afraid that I'll need to refine close to 100 body demons. 100 body demons aren't easy to hunt. Not to mention whether there were 100 body demons in the Heaven's Spirit Tomb, even if there were, it wouldn't be easy for Mo Qingyun to hunt them. It seems that raising the toughness of my body to the level of a spiritual tool won't be an easy task. Thinking about the difficulty of raising the toughness of his body to the level of a spiritual tool, Mo Qingyun couldn't help but sigh. He didn't delay and continued searching the Heaven's Spirit Tomb. Not long after Mo Qingyun's search, 3 familiar figures entered his line of sight. It was Li's group. They also entered the Heaven's Spirit Tomb. Seeing Li He's group, Mo Qingyun's expression was filled with shock. He didn't expect the 3 of them to appear. At this moment, while Mo Qingyun's face was filled with shock, Li He's group also saw Mo Qingyun. Following that, Li He's group revealed sneers as they closed in on Mo Qingyun step by step. Mo Qingyun, let's see where you'll escape to this time. Seeing Mo Qingyun not far away, Yi Feiyang revealed a gloomy expression as he waved the spear in his hand towards Mo Qingyun. Yi Feiyang thrust his spear forward and his body turned into an afterimage. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Mo Qingyun with the spear in his hand. As the spear closed in, specks of golden light blossomed from it. They turned into golden needles that frantically flew towards Mo Qingyun. These golden needles were condensed from the law of metal. Their attack speed was extremely fast and stopped in the blink of an eye. Clang! 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 When the golden needles landed on Mo Qingyun's body, they immediately emitted a crisp sound, as if they had hit hard metal. Following that, small holes appeared on Mo Qingyun's clothes. Fortunately, Mo Qingyun's body had been strengthened and wasn't pierced by the law of metal needles. However, although Mo Qingyun's body wasn't pierced, Yi Feiyang's law of metal had a penetrative property. The vibrations from the needles made Mo Qingyun's body feel uncomfortable. What a tough body! Seeing that his law of metal flying needles didn't pierce Mo Qingyun's body and didn't even leave a mark, Yi Feiyang couldn't help but reveal a look of shock. Yi Feiyang couldn't help but reveal a shocked expression. He was greatly shocked by the strength of Mo Qingyun's physical body. The way he looked at Mo Qingyun became more serious. Heavenly flame sky-breaking halberd. After being bombarded by the law of metal flying needles, Mo Qingyun didn't dare to be careless. He immediately swung the scorching halberd at Yi Feiyang. As Mo Qingyun swung the scorching halberd suddenly bloomed with flames and turned into a huge dragon that was hundreds of feet long. When the huge dragon formed from the law of fire was formed, it opened its huge mouth and swallowed Yi Feiyang, not giving him any chance to escape. Break! Yi Feiyang was swallowed by the huge flame dragon. He continuously swung the long spear in his hand and madly attacked the huge flame dragon. Under Yi Feiyang's attacks, holes quickly appeared on the abdomen of the huge flame dragon. It looked as if it would shatter at any time. Explode. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate any longer. He directly made the huge dragon formed from the law of fire explode. Bang! After a loud explosion, the huge flame dragon formed from the law of fire exploded, creating a terrifying wave of flames that once again swallowed Yi Feiyang. Not only that, but under the impact of this wave of heat, Li He and Yi Feiyang, who were chasing closely behind, were also instantly swallowed. Traceless demonic shadow, ground shrink. Seeing that Li He and the other two were swallowed by the flames, Mo Qingyun didn't stay any longer. His figure immediately moved and escaped into the depths of the heavens' spirit tomb. With his current strength, he still felt a lot of pressure when facing Li He and the other two. He couldn't face them head-on. Soon, Mo Qingyun's figure disappeared in front of Li He and the other two, escaping their pursuit. A moment later, the Yuan energy wave dissipated and the figures of Li He and the other two reappeared. At this moment, Li He and the other two were in a sorry state. Their clothes were tattered and their hair was disheveled and yellow. If someone didn't know them, they would think that they were three beggars. Damn it, that brat actually got away. Seeing Mo Qingyun disappear in the blink of an eye, Yi Feiyang tightly grasped the long spear in his hand and said angrily. He really couldn't accept that with his cultivation as a late-stage sovereign, he actually let a junior at the 9th level of the divine power run away when he attacked with his full strength. Not only that, but the three of them were also covered in dirt from Mo Qingyun's law energy. They were in a sorry state. I didn't expect that Mo Qingyun, with his mere cultivation at the 9th level of the divine power, could actually comprehend the law of fire to such an extent. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance just now, Li He was shocked. After saying those words, his expression darkened and he said, "This Mo Qingyun definitely can't be left alive. He already has such strength at the 9th level of the divine power. If he's allowed to break through to the sovereign realm, he'll probably be even more difficult to deal with." Chapter 1059. My spear not only contained the sharpness and killing characteristics of the law of metal, but it also contained a trace of penetrating characteristics. Recalling his spear, Yi Feiyang's face revealed a cold expression. After muttering to himself, he analyzed. Although that brat's physical body is strong, after being penetrated by the law of metal, his body must have been impacted by the shock force. Under the impact of this shock force, he will definitely be injured. If that brat is injured, he will definitely find a place to hide and recuperate. Hearing Yi Feiyang's analysis, Yang Yunfan's eyes lit up. He sneered. But in this sky spirit tomb, there are demon beasts, undead spirits, and body demons everywhere. It won't be easy for that brat to find a place to recuperate. If he can't find a place to recuperate, his injuries will definitely get worse and worse. That's right. Yi Feiyang nodded in agreement with Yang Yunfan's analysis. After nodding in agreement with Yang Yunfan's analysis, Yi Feiyang's face revealed an unhappy expression. He said angrily, What's hateful is that brat actually comprehended the law of fire, which just happens to restrain my law of metal. Otherwise, my spear just now would have killed him. Since that brat is injured, let's continue to chase after him. Perhaps he hasn't escaped far. Glancing at the direction Mo Qingyun escaped in, Li He instructed the two before his figure flashed and chased after Mo Qingyun. Seeing Li He's actions, Yang Yunfan and Yang Yunfan no longer hesitated and hurriedly followed behind Li He. Just as Yi Feiyang and the others had deduced, under the attack of Yi Feiyang's law of metal flying needles, Mo Qingyun's body had indeed been shaken. However, the degree of injury from the shock was not as serious as Yi Feiyang and the others had imagined. It only caused Mo Qingyun's blood and qi to churn. Mo Qingyun sat cross-legged and adjusted his breathing for a moment, calming the blood and qi in his body, allowing him to return to his peak state. Given my current strength and my various trump cards, I should be able to fight against a late-stage Supreme Being expert. Through the exchange with Yi Feiyang earlier, Mo Qingyun had a rough understanding of his own strength. However, with my current strength, it's still impossible for me to defeat a late-stage Supreme Being expert. It seems that I have to continue increasing my strength. After thinking about it, Mo Qingyun tightly clenched his fists, got up, and continued to search the Heaven's Spirit Tomb. In the following time, Mo Qingyun patiently searched the Sky Spirit Tomb. As Mo Qingyun continued to search, his strength also rose. Unfortunately, he still couldn't find Song Jian. Mo Qingyun wasn't worried about this. He found that his strength had increased very quickly in the days he had spent in the Heaven's Spirit Tomb. If time permitted, he was willing to stay in the Heaven's Spirit Tomb and raise his cultivation to the sovereign realm before leaving. Half a year passed in the blink of an eye. It had already been half a year since his battle with Li He and the other two. In this half a year, Mo Qingyun had been constantly hunting physique demons in search of Song Jian's hiding place. However, Mo Qingyun still didn't find Song Jian's hiding place. It was as if Song Jian had evaporated into thin air. Not only was there no trace of Song Jian, but Mo Qingyun also didn't see Li He and the other two after their battle. Of course, Mo Qingyun was also happy that he couldn't see Li He and the other two. This way, he could chase after Song Jian and physique demons in the Heaven's Spirit Tomb without any worries. 82. At this moment, behind a huge black rock, Mo Qingyun opened his eyes with a happy expression. In this half a year of continuous hunting, he had already killed 82 physique demons and was very close to 100. However, what made Mo Qingyun pleasantly surprised was that the speed at which his body's strength was increasing was much faster than he had expected. Standing up and stretching his body, Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised as he sensed the increase in his body's strength. From the current situation, I can refine at most 5 more physique demons and my body's strength will increase once more to the level of a top-tier artifact. At that time, if I use all my trump cards, I should be able to defeat Li He and the other two. However, it will still be quite difficult to kill them. Although he didn't have the confidence to kill Yi Feiyang and the other two, Mo Qingyun was already very satisfied with his speed of improvement. Although the current him still couldn't contend against Li He and the other two, he had some ability to protect himself against their encirclement. Bang! At this moment, as Mo Qingyun continued his search, a huge sound entered his ears. Following that, Mo Qingyun discovered that a terrifying cloud of flames had appeared in front of him, dyeing the entire Heaven's Spirit Tomb red. A secret stash has been unearthed. Seeing the scene in front of him, Mo Qingyun immediately guessed what had happened based on his past experience. From the appearance of this secret stash, it should be a fire-type treasure that has been unearthed. Sizing up the scene in front of him, Mo Qingyun revealed an expression of anticipation as he muttered to himself, "If I can obtain this treasure, it should be of great help to me in comprehending the law of fire. Once my law of fire reaches the 3rd level, I will have the strength to kill Li He and the other two." After thinking about this, Emo Qingyun no longer hesitated. His figure moved as he rushed towards the location of the strange phenomenon. 15 minutes later, Emo Qingyun arrived at the location of the strange phenomenon. The place where the heaven and earth anomaly occurred was a huge valley that was filled with red lava. Above the lava, there were floating stone platforms. Looking at the arrangement of these stone platforms, it seemed to be a path that led to a certain place. Due to the fire-type energy contained within the valley, it formed a fiery mist that prevented Emo Qingyun's spiritual strength from penetrating. Therefore, Emo Qingyun was unable to use his spiritual strength to sense the specific situation within the valley. Seeing that he was unable to know the specific situation within the valley, Emo Qingyun's brows slightly furrowed as he hesitated on whether or not to enter the valley. Emo Qingyun was very clear on the danger level of the Heaven's Spirit Tomb. Especially in some secret realms, although there were shocking treasures hidden within them, the danger level was even greater. Therefore, he didn't dare to rashly enter. At this moment, while Emo Qingyun was hesitating on whether or not to enter the Valley of Flames, 3 figures rapidly rushed over. Li He and the other 2 had caught up. After not seeing each other for half a year, Emo Qingyun didn't expect to meet Li He and the other 2 in the Valley of Flames. When Emo Qingyun saw Li He and the other 2, Li He and the other 2 also saw Emo Qingyun. Immediately, gloomy smiles appeared on their faces. Emo Qingyun, let's see where you'll escape to this time. Ahead of you is the Valley of Flames. It's filled with danger. If you enter, only death awaits you. This time, with the Valley of Flames blocking your path, you'll definitely die. When they saw Emo Qingyun outside the Valley of Flames, Li He and the other 2 revealed complacent sneers, as if they were certain that they had Emo Qingyun in their grasp. Since that's the case, let's enter the Valley of Flames. Chapter 1060. As soon as Emo Qingyun entered the lava valley, he sensed a terrifying heat wave coming at him. The law of fire? The heat wave in this valley contains the power of the law. Emo Qingyun was shocked by the heat wave's impact as he sensed the power of the law in the heat wave. After a brief moment of surprise, Emo Qingyun activated the law of fire to counteract the power of the flames that was eroding him. The temperature in the heat wave was about 10,000 degrees, which was not a threat to Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun did not stay any longer and quickly rushed into the lava valley. As Emo Qingyun went deeper into the lava valley, the law power in the heat wave became stronger and stronger, and the temperature it emitted became higher and higher. 30,000 degrees, 50,000 degrees, 90,000 degrees. About a quarter of an hour later, Emo Qingyun stopped and stood on top of a huge rock. He didn't go any further. 90,000 degrees was the limit he could endure at the moment. If he went any further, he would be injured by the power of fire. The heat wave contains the heat characteristic of the law of fire. It can help me comprehend the law of fire. With this thought in mind, Emo Qingyun stopped thinking about it and immediately sat down to comprehend the law of fire in the heat wave. Devouring Gate. After Emo Qingyun sat down, he used the Devouring Gate to devour the law of fire in the heatwave. With the help of the Devouring Gate, Emo Qingyun's comprehension of the law of fire was immediately doubled with half the effort. As Emo Qingyun's comprehension of the law of fire deepened, the temperature emitted from his body became higher and higher. 91,000 degrees, 92,000 degrees, 99,000 degrees, 100,000 degrees. When the temperature emitted from Emo Qingyun's body reached 100,000 degrees, the law of fire surrounding him condensed into a flame mark and slowly sank into his head. Condensing the law mark was a recognition of the mastery of the law power's characteristics. The heat characteristic of the laws of fire has finally reached perfection. Seeing that the burning characteristic had reached perfection, Emo Qingyun stopped cultivating. He stood up from the stone pedestal and gazed into the depths of the valley. He said, Since the burning characteristic has reached perfection, it's time to go deeper. After speaking, Emo Qingyun no longer hesitated. His figure moved and hurried towards the interior of the valley. As Emo Qingyun ventured deeper, the temperature within the blazing valley grew increasingly higher. After an unknown period of time, the temperature in the Valley of Flames finally reached a peak of 100,000 degrees. When the temperature in the flaming valley reached 100,000 degrees, clusters of solid flames appeared in the flaming valley, floating above the lava. Seeing this scene, Emo Qingyun's expression couldn't help but change as he guessed. Flames? Could it be that the following journey will test my control over the burning characteristics of the law of fire? After thinking about this, Emo Qingyun jumped onto the next stone platform. Bang! As soon as Emo Qingyun's feet touched the ground, a cluster of flames burst out from under his feet, setting his shoes and clothes ablaze. Extinguish! Seeing that his clothes and shoes were on fire, Emo Qingyun activated his Yuan power and extinguished the flames on his body. As he extinguished the flames on his body, Emo Qingyun sensed the burning characteristics of the law of fire from the flames. After discovering this, Emo Qingyun's expression changed slightly. His guess had been answered. He muttered to himself, "It looks like the next part of the journey will be a test of the burning characteristics of the laws of fire." After knowing the upcoming test, Emo Qingyun didn't think too much about it. He activated the devouring gate and swallowed the surrounding flames to condense the law power contained in them. In his previous life, Emo Qingyun's control over the burning characteristics of the law of fire had also reached perfection. Therefore, it wasn't difficult for him to comprehend it again. With the help of the devouring gate, Emo Qingyun's control over the burning characteristics of the law of fire quickly entered the beginner level. After mastering the burning characteristics to the beginner level, balls of flames condensed around Emo Qingyun's body, emitting a terrifying burning power. The burning characteristics are roughly divided into 4 levels: burning wood, burning stone, burning gold, and burning water. The power will multiply with every increase in level. While comprehending the burning characteristics of the law of fire, Emo Qingyun also recalled the several advancement requirements of the burning characteristics in his mind. With my current mastery of the burning characteristics, I should have reached the level of burning wood. There isn't much of a gap between me and burning stone. Burning wood was the most basic stage. As long as one mastered the initial method of ignition and mastered the burning characteristics to the beginner level, it would be enough. As for the second level, burning stone, the requirements were much more difficult. The ignition point of a rock was undoubtedly extremely high. It wasn't easy to ignite it. Not only did one need to master the burning characteristics, one also needed to master the burning characteristics to an extremely high degree. Of course, for Emo Qingyun, who had already mastered the burning characteristics to the beginner level, this was a problem that he didn't need to consider. As the saying goes, true gold fears no fire. From this, it could be seen how difficult it was to burn gold. If one could even burn true gold, it meant that one's mastery of the burning characteristics of the law of fire had reached an unimaginable level. However, burning gold wasn't the limit of the burning characteristics of the law of fire. If one really mastered the burning characteristics of the law of fire to the extreme, one could even burn water. Water and fire were opposite. Water and fire were compatible. The limit of fire was water, and the limit of water was fire. Fire gave birth to water, and water gave birth to fire. The cycle of fire and water was natural. By mastering the burning characteristics of the law of fire to the extreme, one could not only burn water, but also turn fire into water, and water into fire. It was a cycle of the Great Way. As Emo Qingyun continued to comprehend, more and more flames gathered outside his body. The temperature of the flames also increased. Under the constant burning of this temperature, the stone platform that Emo Qingyun was sitting on gradually turned black, red, and white. Bang! After an unknown period of time, the stone platform that Emo Qingyun was sitting on suddenly exploded with a ball of blinding fire. Burning stone. When Emo Qingyun saw that the stone platform he was sitting on was burning, he stood up with a happy expression and moved to the next stone platform. However, Emo Qingyun didn't stop there. Instead, he continued to go deeper into the flaming mountain valley. After passing more than 10 stone platforms, Emo Qingyun finally stopped. He looked at the platform in front of him with a look of understanding. At this moment, the floating platform in front of him was no longer the stone platform from before. Instead, it had become a golden platform, turning stone into gold. Refining the surface of the rock was its essence, gold. Chapter 1061. Time flew by, and a year passed in the blink of an eye. Over the course of this year, the Tianhan continent had returned to a state of calm. There was no fighting or killing. Not only were there no signs of activity from the 3 sacred mountains, but even the demons and ghosts who were slaughtering in all directions had also quieted down. Seeing such a situation, some discerning people could see that this was the prelude to the arrival of a storm. Several guests had arrived at the Heavenly Pool Mountain. They were an elder with crimson hair, a muscular man with a body as hard as steel, and a middle-aged man with 2 pairs of wings. That's right, the 3 people who had arrived at the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain were precisely Qi Lian, He Xian, and Tai Yi. Mr. Qi, Senior He Xian, and Senior Iron Wing. Autarch Su Chao and the others bowed respectfully when they saw Qi Lian and the others arrive. Qi Lian's cultivation had stabilized as a sovereign, and he wasn't far from becoming a mid-stage sovereign. As for Tai Yi's cultivation, he had already successfully broken through to the middle stage of the Supreme Being realm, and he had overtaken Su Chao and the others. Of course, the strongest person was still He Xian. After so many years of cultivation, He Xian's cultivation had reached the late stage 9 heavens Supreme Realm. It was precisely because He Xian's cultivation had broken through to the late stage of the Supreme Being realm that the tyrant Godly Mountain was able to resolve the crisis and protect the disciples when they were attacked by the 3 great Godly Mountains. Autarch Su Chao, I heard that the young lord returned a year ago. Why hasn't there been any news of him in the past year? After exchanging some pleasantries with Supreme Su Chao and the others, Qi Lian didn't beat around the bush and directly asked about Emo Qingyun. He Xian and Iron Wing were just as confused as Qi Lian. They waited for Autarch Su Chao's answer. Supreme Su Chao pondered for a moment when he saw the trio's reaction. He then replied, "It's like this. A year and a half ago, Li He Yi Feiyang and Yang Yunfan teamed up with Devil Song Jian and came to the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain to challenge Martial Uncle Tai Tu. Back then, Master took Martial Uncle Tai Tu's place out of consideration for his injuries. Later, Autarch Su Chao recounted the events of that day without missing a single detail. Pursued for a year and a half? After hearing Supremacy Su Chao's narration, Qi Lian and the others all revealed looks of surprise. However, they weren't worried. Their connection with Emo Qingyun was still there, and it hadn't weakened in the slightest. In other words, Emo Qingyun was in a very safe situation. Of a day. The young lord's connection with our souls hasn't fluctuated at all. He should be very safe right now. The way I see it, the young lord might be in seclusion. That's why he's been delayed. We can't rule out that possibility. It's normal for a divinity realm cultivator to be in seclusion for a year and a half. Qi Lian and the others exchanged their opinions. The worry in their hearts lessened considerably. Everyone, let's not stand here. Let's talk inside the sect. Looking at Qi Lian and the other 2 standing in front of the mountain gate, Supremacy Su Chao smiled faintly and gestured for them to enter. Seeing Paragon Su Chao's actions, Qi Lian and the others nodded and followed him into the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. After entering the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain, Supreme Su Chao explained what had happened at the Heavenly Sword Sacred Mountain a year ago. These demons are quite bold. The Tianhun continent is a training ground for the juniors of the Tianhun demon race. They want to take it for themselves? They're courting death. He Xian snorted coldly after hearing Autarch Su Chao's story. He didn't put the demons in his eyes at all. In He Xian's opinion, if the Tianhun demon race learned of this, they'd definitely exterminate the demonic cultivators of the demon path. In the eyes of the Tianhun demon race, even the 7 ancient paths combined were no more than ant. The Tianhun demon race? Autarch Su Chao and the others were stunned. Confusion appeared on their faces. They'd never heard of the Tianhun continent before. Seeing the confusion on the faces of Supreme Su Chao and the others, Tai Yi smiled faintly and explained, "Everyone, you should have heard of the Sky Spirit Tomb, right? And the 7 ancient paths?" "Yes." Autarch Su Chao and the others nodded. The Sky Spirit Tomb is the entrance to the 7 ancient paths. It opens once every 10,000 years, and only 10 people can enter each time. A trace of mockery appeared on the corner of Tai Yi's mouth as he explained the history of the Heaven's Spirit Tomb. He continued, "The native cultivators of the Heavenly Soul continent would engage in a frenzied battle for the 10 spots to enter the 7 Great Ancient Road. Over time, the entrance to the 7 Great Ancient Roads turned into a graveyard of battlefields and was called the Heaven's Spirit Tomb. So that's how the Sky Spirit Tomb came to be." Autarch Su Chao and the others were enlightened after hearing Iron Wing's story. They finally knew the origin of the Sky Spirit Tomb. Iron Wing swept his gaze over Autarch Su Chao and the others. He organized his thoughts and continued, "As for the 7 ancient paths, they're the entrances to the wild continent. The Tianhun demon race is a powerful race on the wild continent. Every Tianhun demon race member will have the strength of an immortal-seeking realm cultivator when they reach adulthood, which is what you call the sovereign realm." Immortal-seeking realm? Sovereign realm? Reaching that realm after reaching adulthood? Wasn't that just the beginning? Autarch Su Chao and the others were completely flabbergasted after hearing Iron Wing's words. They felt like they couldn't wrap their heads around it. So the legendary realm of the Tianhun continent was actually the lowest level of the Tianhun demon race on the wild continent. That was just too much of a blow. While Autarch Su Chao and the others wore bitter expressions, the silent He Xian finally spoke up with a solemn expression. "Actually, the Tianhun continent is just a fragment of the wild continent. There are hundreds of millions of fragments like this around the wild continent." "Fragments? Hundreds of millions of fragments?" Autarch Su Chao was completely dumbfounded by He Xian and the others' words. He didn't know what to say. Within the Valley of Flames. After an entire year of comprehension, Mo Qingyun had finally comprehended the burning properties of the laws of fire and reached perfection. At this moment, the flames that revolved around Mo Qingyun's body slowly turned from red to light blue, and then to a pure white, colorless liquid state. Fire turning into water, this was the limit of fire. However, this water was different from ordinary water. Although it was in the form of water, it contained a terrifying burning power. In order to test the burning properties of this water, Mo Qingyun took out a spirit-ranked broadsword and slowly sent it into the fiery water. The moment the sword came into contact with the fiery water droplet, it turned into a ball of red liquid and melted. The perfect burning characteristic power is indeed amazing. Seeing the power of the fiery water droplet, Mo Qingyun's face lit up with joy and anticipation. If nothing unexpected happens, the next part of the journey will be a test of the laws of fire's light properties. If that's the case, then let's test it. Mo Qingyun's face was full of pride as he jumped onto a platform and headed into the Valley of Flames. P.S. It's time for the 6th watch. That's all for today. Good night, everyone. Chapter 1062. Jumping onto the next platform, Mo Qingyun's vision instantly turned black, and he couldn't even see his own fingers. Seeing that he was enveloped by endless black smoke, and that he couldn't move forward or backward, Mo Qingyun's expression became serious. At this time, if someone wanted to harm him, it would be very dangerous. This was because Mo Qingyun realized that not only could he not see, he couldn't even release his spiritual power. In other words, Mo Qingyun had no other choice but to rely on the fire to illuminate the area. Ignite! Mo Qingyun slowly raised his right hand, and slowly opened his palm, igniting a ball of fire in his hand. However, the light emitted by this ball of fire was like a firefly in the dark, and could only illuminate a fist-sized area. After realizing this, Mo Qingyun frowned slightly, and increased the size of the flame. However, the result was the same. Even though the size of the flame had increased from the size of a fist to the size of a water tank, the space it illuminated was still the size of a fist. As for the part of the flame that exceeded the size of a fist, it was completely engulfed by the darkness, and one could barely see the fluctuations in the air caused by the burning flame. This stage tests the light characteristics of the flame, and not the power of the flame. It seems that my thinking was wrong. Seeing the result of his experiment, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly, and he had a general direction in his heart. He thought to himself, flames of different colors emit different brightness. Black, purple, and blue flames emit darker light, while red, yellow, and green flames emit brighter light. As for white, it represents light. Perhaps I can start from the color of the flame. After thinking about this, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated, and immediately began to change the color of the flame. After a series of experiments, Mo Qingyun was surprised to find that changing the color of the flame, which was originally a very simple task, was now extremely difficult. However, Mo Qingyun wasn't angry about this. On the contrary, after obtaining this result, he was pleasantly surprised. It seemed that the direction he was trying to go should be correct. It really is related to the color of the flame. Now that his guess was confirmed, Mo Qingyun's mind suddenly opened up. He thought to himself, the black flame has the ability to corrode, the red flame has the ability to burn, and the purple flame has the ability to penetrate. For a moment, Mo Qingyun recalled and copied the abilities of the different colored flames in his mind. After copying and observing for a while, Mo Qingyun had a deeper understanding of the light characteristics of the law of fire. If I start with the ability to change flames, I wonder if I can change the color of the flames? With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and began to try to buff the flames with different abilities. Mo Qingyun's first attempt was to add burning power to the flames. With the addition of the burning power, the color of the flame in his hand turned from purplish-black to red. At the same time, the area illuminated by the flames had increased a lot, from the original fist-sized space to the size of a water tank. Success! Seeing this scene in front of him, Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised and became extremely excited. Seeing that his attempt was successful, Mo Qingyun no longer thought about it and wholeheartedly tried to change the color of the flames. 1 attempt, failure. 2 attempts, failure. Blue flame, success. 1007 attempts, failure. 1008 attempts, failure. 2146 attempts, success. After countless attempts, Mo Qingyun was finally able to change the color of the flames at will. However, Mo Qingyun was still unable to change the final color, white. What ability does the white flame have? Mo Qingyun frowned slightly, and a strong feeling of confusion rose in his heart. He did not know how to try. Bang! After thinking hard for a while, Mo Qingyun's left hand shook slightly and lit up a ball of flame. Then, Mo Qingyun's left and right hands each lit up a ball of flame, one yellow and one red. Red and yellow are considered the brightest flames among the few colors of flame. Looking at the flames in his hands, Mo Qingyun silently compared them. He frowned as he pondered. The yellow flame has the ability to penetrate, the red flame has the ability to burn, and the white flame is even brighter. Does this mean that it's stronger than them? Why is the flame here orange? At this moment, while Mo Qingyun was thinking, he suddenly realized that the flame where the two flames intersected had a new color, orange. This not easy discovery suddenly opened up Mo Qingyun's mind, as if he had found a breakthrough. Then, Mo Qingyun's face revealed a curious expression as he tried to sense the orange flame's ability. After sensing for a while, Mo Qingyun's expression suddenly changed to one of shock and excitement. This orange flame actually has the ability to burn and penetrate. Although each ability is slightly weaker, it has the characteristics of both flames. Could it be that a flame of a single color can make a flame's ability reach its peak, and a flame of two colors can make it possess both abilities, but both abilities are slightly weaker? This unexpected discovery made Mo Qingyun's discovery of the white flame immediately make a big breakthrough. The yellow flame and red flame fuse to form orange. What color do the other flames fuse to form orange? Red and blue fuse to form purple. Red and green fuse to form yellow. Green and blue fuse to form cyan. As Mo Qingyun continued to experiment, flames of various colors appeared one by one in front of his eyes. I wonder what color will be formed when all the flames are fused together. After this bold idea came into his mind, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and immediately tried to fuse the flames of different colors. No, the yellow flame seemed a little redundant. The red flame's power was slightly weaker. The green flame was too strong. It should be weakened a little. As Mo Qingyun continued to experiment, the color of the fused flames became lighter and lighter, closer and closer to white. After a few hours, the darkness around Mo Qingyun suddenly disappeared and returned to the scene of light. At this moment, the flame in Mo Qingyun's hand also successfully turned white. The moment the white flame successfully fused, Mo Qingyun suddenly realized that a white flame imprint had formed in front of him. This was the light characteristic imprint of the law of fire. When the light flame imprint formed, the burning flame imprint and the scorching flame imprint flew out from Mo Qingyun's head and fused with the light flame imprint. Then, a tricolored flame imprint formed in front of Mo Qingyun's eyes. This was the complete law of fire imprint. A complete law of fire imprint. My law of fire is complete. Chapter 1063. Outside the blazing valley. The three of them had been waiting here for almost 2 years, but there was still no sign of Mo Qingyun. Li He and the other two were getting impatient. Sword Venerable, after that kid entered the valley, there was no movement at all in these 2 years. Could he have died in there? Looking at the blazing valley in front of him, Yi Feiyong frowned and said angrily, "If that kid really died in there, then wouldn't we have waited here for nothing?" Just as Yi Feiyong finished speaking, Yang Yunfan nodded and said impatiently, "Brother Yi is right. We can't keep waiting like this." Hearing Yi Feiyong and Yi Feiyong's words, Li He also frowned. He felt that Yang Yunfan and Yi Feiyong's words made sense. The blazing valley is filled with the power of the law of fire. The three of us can't enter, so it's impossible for us to go in and investigate. Looking at the flaming valley before him, Li He spoke helplessly. After pondering for a moment, he said, "How about this, we'll wait here for another month. If that kid still doesn't come out, we'll return to the sect." Okay. Yi Feiyong and Yi Feiyong nodded and agreed with Li He's suggestion. Inside the blazing valley. After Mo Qingyun's law of fire reached perfection, he no longer hesitated and flew to the next platform. Next, Mo Qingyun arrived at the interior of the blazing valley after a few jumps. At this moment, above the endless lava, there was a palace surrounded by flames. Above the entrance of the palace, there was a huge signboard. On it, there were 4 words written in flamboyant calligraphy. Immortal's Wrath Flame Manor. Looking at the 4 words on the plaque, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly and he said with joy, "Could it be that this Immortal's Wrath Flame Manor is the residence of the Master of the Blazing Valley?" When this thought appeared in Emo Qingyun's mind, he couldn't wait and hurriedly walked toward the Immortal's Wrath Flame Manor. Bang bang bang. Just as Emo Qingyun was about to enter the Immortal's Wrath Flame Manor, 3 balls of flames suddenly erupted from the entrance of the Immortal's Wrath Flame Manor and turned into 3 flaming gates. After the 3 gates of flames were formed, they gave off 3 different presences and 3 different powers of laws. These 3 gates of flame contain the characteristics of heat, fire, and light. It looks like I'll have to activate the 3 characteristics of the laws of fire if I want to pass through the 3 gates. After understanding the test of the 3 flaming gates, Emo Qingyun no longer hesitated. He immediately activated his complete law of fire and lifted his foot to walk into the 3 flaming gate. Just as Emo Qingyun had guessed, he easily passed through the 3 flaming gates after pushing his law of fire to perfection. The purpose of these 3 flaming gates should be to stop those who wish to enter the Immortal's Wrath Manor by borrowing external forces. After passing through the 3 flaming gates, Emo Qingyun had a better understanding of the functions of the 3 gates. With Emo Qingyun's current attainments in the laws of fire, it was a piece of cake for him to bring a few people here. After passing through the 3 flaming gates, Emo Qingyun entered the Immortal's Wrath Manor. It was as if he had entered a small independent world. The Immortal's Wrath Manor was very large. It was half the size of the heavenly pool Sacred Mountain. There were small courtyards, attics, and pavilions. However, due to the fact that no one had lived here for a long time, all the vegetation in the Immortal's Wrath Manor had withered and died. As for the water in the small lakes, they had all dried up, revealing the bottom of the lake. At the bottom of the lakes, there were some skeletons of demonic beasts. They should have been raised by the previous owner of the Immortal's Wrath Manor. After taking a look at the scenery in front of him, Emo Qingyun didn't stay any longer. He passed through the front yard of the Immortal's Wrath Manor and walked towards the interior of the manor. Behind the front yard was a mansion that looked like a courtyard house. There were rooms all around the mansion. After looking around, Emo Qingyun turned around and walked towards the right. He pushed open the door of the first room on the right. Creak. When the door opened, a dry smell came from the room and some dust hit his face. After the dust settled, Emo Qingyun had a panoramic view of the room. The furnishings in the room were very simple. There was only a bed, a wardrobe, a table, and a few chairs. However, from the scene in front of him, this room should have been empty. No one had lived here before. Seeing this, Emo Qingyun didn't stay any longer. He turned around and walked towards the other rooms. The next rooms were similar to the first room. Basically, no one had lived in them before. Even if someone had lived in them before, they were all empty. There was nothing left behind by the previous owner. Seeing this result, Emo Qingyun couldn't help but feel disappointed. Could it be that this Immortal's Wrath Manor was empty? As this thought flashed through his mind, Emo Qingyun didn't believe it. He didn't believe that this Immortal's Wrath Manor didn't have any treasures. Following this, Emo Qingyun continued his search in the Immortal's Wrath Manor. However, the result was still the same. He still didn't find any treasures. Just as Emo Qingyun was feeling disappointed, he came to a room that looked like a study. The study wasn't big. It could be seen at a glance. There was only a simple bookcase, a desk, and a chair made of ancient wood. On top of the desk was a very long and exquisite wooden box. On top of the wooden box was a letter. Looking at the wooden box and letter on the desk, Emo Qingyun slowly walked over and picked up the letter on the wooden box. Wiping away the dust on the letter, Emo Qingyun opened it and read the contents. Brother He Yunchuan broke through to the nascent soul stage and reached the pinnacle of the immortal realm. Emo Qingyun read the contents of the letter without missing a single word. From the description of the letter, the item in the box should be a gift from the owner of the Immortal's Wrath Manor to a friend called Yunchuan. Moreover, this person called Yunchuan's cultivation seemed to be extraordinary. He had reached the pinnacle of the immortal realm. It seems that immortal Yunchuan's strength should be stronger than venerable Wen Xian and venerable Mo Yuan. Mo Qingyun thought to himself. He put down the letter and opened the wooden box on the desk. Boom! As the wooden box was opened, a strong flame burst out, blooming with a dazzling light. Under the impact of the flame, Mo Qingyun was forced to retreat. He didn't stop until he left the study. What a powerful aura! Mo Qingyun steadied himself and looked at the item in the wooden box in shock. There were a total of 2 items in the wooden box. One was a 2-meter-long halberd, and the other was a flaming dragon scale scroll. Looking at the flaming halberd and dragon scale scroll, Mo Qingyun's face lit up with joy. He walked to the front of the desk again. P.S. Today's second update. Let's go eat. See you in the afternoon. Chapter 1064. Immortal Immolating Halberd. Immortal Fury Art. Picking up the flaming halberd and the dragon scale scroll, Mo Qingyun saw the words on the flaming halberd and the dragon scale scroll. Immortal Immolating Halberd. Forged from the 10,000-year flaming iron in the fire dragon's lava cave. Because the 10,000-year flaming iron was contaminated with dragon chi and dragon nature, the immortal immolating halberd gave birth to a dragon spirit. This fire spirit artifact spirit has a very high spirituality and knows how to upgrade the immortal immolating halberd by devouring other weapons. Holding the immortal immolating halberd in his hand, Mo Qingyun read the small words engraved on the immortal immolating halberd one after another. Good halberd. After reading the words on the immortal immolating halberd, Mo Qingyun's expression suddenly became excited. He loved the immortal immolating halberd so much that he couldn't put it down. He really didn't expect that the immortal immolating halberd had the ability to upgrade. This kind of weapon could be called a divine weapon. After reading the description of the immortal immolating halberd, Mo Qingyun couldn't wait to check the contents of the immortal fury art. The immortal fury art had a lot of content. It mainly described the 3 divine abilities of the immortal fury art. The 3 divine abilities were scorching sun, blazing wildfire, and shining sunlight. These 3 divine abilities respectively used the 3 major characteristics of the law of fire: scorching heat, burning fire, and light. Only those who had comprehended the law of fire to perfection could successfully cultivate them. In that case, the immortal fury art was tailor-made for me. After reading the description of the celestial fury art, Mo Qingyun's face suddenly revealed a pleasantly surprised expression, and his mood became excited. From the contents of the letter just now, Mo Qingyun could guess that the immortal fury art should be more powerful than the martial arts secret manual. Immortal Yunchuan was a top existence among the immortals. To be able to give him something as a gift, the immortal fury art must be very extraordinary. With this thought, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and began to refine the immortal immolating halberd. The immortal immolating war halberd was a fire attribute weapon. Now that Mo Qingyun's fire laws had reached perfection, refining it could be said to be twice the result with half the effort. The immortal burning battle halberd already had a tool spirit. In order to completely refine it, one must first subdue the tool spirit inside. Immediately, Mo Qingyun released a wisp of soul power and carefully infused it into the burning immortal battle halberd. As Mo Qingyun's soul power seeped into the immortal immolating battle halberd, he saw a miniature version of the fire dragon. This was a miniature version of the fire dragon, which was the artifact spirit of the immortal burning war halberd. Perhaps it had sensed the intrusion of Mo Qingyun's soul strength, but the fire dragon artifact spirit's eyes immediately widened. It angrily glared at Mo Qingyun's soul strength and emitted a violent dragon's might. Roar! With a dragon's roar, the fire dragon artifact spirit opened its mouth and spat out a dragon's breath at Mo Qingyun's soul strength. The dragon's breath attack was extremely fast. In an instant, it engulfed Mo Qingyun's soul strength and burned Mo Qingyun's soul strength domineeringly. However, as the fire dragon artifact's spirit's strength was too low, only at the peak of the divinity realm, its dragon's breath could not hurt Mo Qingyun. It seems that I have to teach you a lesson. Seeing the fire dragon artifact's spirit's attack, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and no longer showed any mercy to the fire dragon artifact spirit. The sealed door. After a miniature version of the sealed door was formed, it quickly seeped into the immortal burning war halberd and blasted into the fire dragon artifact spirit's body. After being bombarded by the sealed door, the fire dragon artifact spirit's strength immediately dropped and a look of horror appeared in its eyes. However, Mo Qingyun did not show mercy because of this. Instead, he struck while the iron was hot and suppressed the fire dragon artifact spirit. Under the suppression of Mo Qingyun's soul strength from the manifestation realm, the fire dragon artifact spirit immediately begged for mercy and expressed that it was willing to submit to Mo Qingyun. At least you know what's good for you. Seeing that the fire dragon artifact spirit was willing to submit, Mo Qingyun revealed a satisfied smile. His opponent had refined and subdued the fire dragon artifact spirit. After doing all this, Mo Qingyun was ready to officially refine the immortal burning war halberd. However, in order to save time, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and entered the five-direction small pagoda. After entering the five-direction small pagoda, Mo Qingyun did not waste any more time and immediately began to refine the immortal burning war halberd. The immortal burning war halberd's rank was not high. It was only equivalent to a beginner spiritual artifact and was slightly lower than the scorching war halberd. Therefore, it was not too difficult for Mo Qingyun to refine it. 3 days later, the immortal burning war halberd was finally completely refined by Mo Qingyun and formed a close connection with Mo Qingyun. This level of compatibility was something that the scorching war halberd did not have. From this, it could be seen that the immortal burning war halberd was more precious than the scorching war halberd. As expected of a weapon used by immortals, although its rank is not as high as the scorching war halberd, its compatibility with a warrior is extremely high. Although the scorching war halberd also had an artifact spirit, its intelligence was too low and could not be compared to the fire dragon artifact spirit. Moreover, when Mo Qingyun obtained the scorching war halberd, it was already in a damaged state and the artifact spirit was in a half-dead state. Now that I have the immortal burning war halberd, the scorching war halberd will be useless in the future. Looking at the immortal burning war halberd in his hand, Mo Qingyun sighed slightly and revealed a trace of hesitation. In addition, this immortal burning war halberd has the ability to devour other weapons. Should I let it devour the scorching war halberd? The quality of weapons is not the quantity. One weapon is enough. I should focus on upgrading the immortal burning war halberd. After a short hesitation, Mo Qingyun made a decision in his heart. He took out all the weapons on his body and let the immortal burning war halberd devour them one by one and upgrade them. 1 day later, more than 10,000 weapons on Mo Qingyun's body were all devoured by the immortal burning war halberd, including the scorching war halberd and the colorless sword. Under the nourishment of more than 10,000 weapons, the immortal burning war halberd's rank was finally upgraded to a high spiritual artifact. Although the weapons on my body are not of a high rank, there are still more than 10,000 of them. However, they only upgraded the immortal burning war halberd by 2 rank. It seems that it is not easy to upgrade the immortal burning war halberd's rank. Seeing the result in front of him, Mo Qingyun could not help but sigh. He instantly felt a strong pressure. After calming his emotions a little, Mo Qingyun did not think too much. He put away the immortal burning war halberd and began to check the immortal fury art. Next, Mo Qingyun began to try to cultivate the immortal fury art according to the description of the immortal fury art. After a while of cultivation, Mo Qingyun felt a little helpless. This immortal fury art seemed simple, but in fact it contained a lot of mysteries. It is indeed an immortal cultivation art. It is not so easy to master. However, I like this kind of challenge. Although he did not immediately succeed in cultivating the immortal fury art, Mo Qingyun was not discouraged. On the contrary, this result stimulated his fighting spirit. Chapter 1065. Mo Qingyun first practiced the first move of the immortal Raging Flame technique, Wild Blazing Sunday. The first move, Wild Blazing Sun, was a defensive ability. By condensing the power of the law of fire, it formed a blazing sun shield around the user. The higher the temperature of the blazing sun shield, the more powerful the blazing sun shield would be. A beginner-level shield could reach a temperature of 100,000 degrees. This was also the requirement to practice this ability. Once this ability was cultivated to a small success level, the shield's temperature could reach 1,000,000 degrees. At large success level, it could even reach 10 million degrees. At large success level, the blazing sun shield's temperature could exceed 100 million degrees. Even an immortal would be instantly roasted dry. Thus, the main point of Wild Blazing Sun's cultivation was to continuously raise the blazing sun shield's temperature to increase its power. After understanding the main point of Wild Blazing Sun's cultivation, Mo Qingyun began to try to condense a blazing sun shield. A pure power of the law of fire spread around Mo Qingyun's body, slowly condensing into a spherical blazing sun shield. After the spherical blazing sun shield formed, it enveloped Mo Qingyun completely, blocking enemies from attacking him from all directions. Condensing a spherical blazing sun shield was easy, but maintaining its stability was not an easy task. Mo Qingyun's body moved slightly, and the spherical blazing sun shield collapsed, once again turning into loose power of the law of fire. 1 attempt, a failure. 2 attempts, a failure. 100 attempts, still a failure. I've failed 100 times in a row. It seems that my cultivation path is wrong. When Mo Qingyun saw that there was no progress even after 100 attempts, he began to ponder. The pure power of the law of fire has no form, so its stability isn't very good. If I can turn it into a substance, its stability should be greatly improved. With this thought, Mo Qingyun's mind suddenly opened up, as if he had found a breakthrough in his cultivation. The limit of fire is water. Water is a liquid with a form, so its stability is much stronger than law of fire. Perhaps I can start from there. With this thought, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately tried to use this method to condense a blazing sun shield. Then, the law of fire surrounding Mo Qingyun's body slowly turned into water droplets. After these water droplets appeared, they gathered bit by bit, forming a ripple shield that enveloped Mo Qingyun. Seeing the ripple shield form, Mo Qingyun became a little nervous, worried that he was still going in the wrong direction. But soon, Mo Qingyun realized that his worries were unnecessary. Success! Seeing that no matter how he flew, the water shield remained intact, Mo Qingyun revealed a look of ecstasy. The master of this celestial fury art really isn't simple. This seemingly simple art actually hides so many mysteries. No wonder its cultivation requirements are so harsh. If I hadn't grasped the burning characteristic of the law of fire to perfection, I'm afraid I would never have been able to successfully cultivate this first style. That's not right. If I continue to cultivate in this direction, the blazing sun flame will be stronger than I imagined. After a moment of surprise, Mo Qingyun unconsciously frowned and said in shock, "If my cultivation direction is correct, turning fire into water will increase its stability. But in terms of stability, the other form of water, ice, seems to be more stable." Could it be? After this thought came to mind, Mo Qingyun's eyes widened. He was shocked by his own thoughts. Could it be that the true cultivation method of the blazing sun flame is to merge the law of fire and the law of water? At this moment, Mo Qingyun was even more impressed with the creator of the blazing sun flame. "I haven't comprehended the law of water yet, so I can't verify my guess. Since I've succeeded in cultivating the first style, I'll try cultivating the second style. After discarding the distracting thoughts in his mind, Emo Qingyun no longer thought about it. He started to observe the second test of the blazing sun flame, Wildfire Prairie. The cultivation method of Wildfire Prairie was much simpler than the first style. He only needed to continuously increase the offensive power of the blazing sun flame. According to the description of the blazing sun flame, Wildfire Prairie mainly used the compression of the law of fire to create an explosive attack. The more the law of fire was compressed, the greater the power of the explosion, and the wider the range of the explosion. After understanding the main point of Wildfire Prairie, Emo Qingyun began to compress the law of fire, forming it into a ball of fire and detonating it. Boom! The ball of fire exploded, instantly causing a few hundred meters of space in the five-directional pagoda to be affected, turning it into a sea of fire. According to the description of the blazing sun flame, the entry-level power of Wildfire Prairie can affect a space of 10 miles. Now, it's only a few hundred meters in diameter. The difference is too great. Seeing the might of his attack, Emo Qingyun knew in his heart that his attempt this time had completely failed. Then, Emo Qingyun no longer thought about it and continued to try. However, the result was the same. No matter how he compressed the law of fire, the range of his flames was still a few hundred meters in diameter. Seeing this result, Emo Qingyun refused to admit defeat and began to patiently practice the process. This time, he wasn't so lucky. He didn't find a way to improve his grasp of Wildfire Prairie. Seeing this result, Emo Qingyun no longer persisted. He knew that if he continued to persist, there wouldn't be much of a harvest. It seems that it will be very difficult for me to successfully cultivate the second style of the blazing sun flame in a short period of time. Emo Qingyun sighed inwardly. His gaze fell on the third style of the blazing sun flame. He smiled faintly and said, "If I can't successfully cultivate the second style, Wildfire Prairie, can I successfully cultivate the third style, Sunlight Illumination?" Although Emo Qingyun knew that the third style's difficulty would be higher than the second style, he still wanted to give it a try. The cultivation method of the third style, Sunlight Illumination, was to condense the law of fire into a ball of flame in an extremely short period of time. The faster the condensing time, the more law of fire was condensed, and the stronger the power of sunlight illumination. After one attempt, Emo Qingyun directly gave up. With the speed at which he condensed the law of fire, the enemy would have already run far away. There was no way he could use this to heavily injure the enemy. It seems that the second and third style of the blazing sun flame can only be slowly studied in the future. Seeing that he couldn't successfully cultivate the second and third style, Emo Qingyun no longer thought about it and left the five-directional pagoda with a flash. After leaving the five-directional pagoda, Emo Qingyun looked around the blazing sun immortal abode with an expectant expression and said, "There are still some places in the blazing sun immortal abode that I haven't been to. I wonder if there are any treasures there?" With this thought, Emo Qingyun walked to other places in the blazing sun immortal abode to see if there were any treasures left behind. A moment later, a blood-colored whirlpool of light appeared in front of Emo Qingyun. Teleportation gate? Looking at the blood-colored gate in front of him, Emo Qingyun frowned slightly and his expression revealed a strong sense of surprise. At the same time, a trace of curiosity rose in Emo Qingyun's heart and he hesitated whether to enter the teleportation gate. After pondering for a moment, curiosity defeated reason and Emo Qingyun lifted his foot and walked into the blood-colored gate. Chapter 1066. When Emo Qingyun walked through the blood-colored door of light, the scene before him blurred. When Emo Qingyun could see clearly again, he was already in a long corridor. There were many demonic beasts in front of him. Every single one of these demonic beasts were at least in the sovereign realm. Some of them had even surpassed the sovereign realm and reached the sovereign realm. Sovereign Realm Demonic Beasts. Emo Chingyun was shocked when he sensed the auras of the Sovereign Realm Demonic Beast. His expression turned grave. He couldn't deal with them right now. Fortunately, these demonic beasts were fighting with a group of people, preventing them from moving forward. It seemed that this corridor was a testing ground. The people fighting the demonic beasts were all very strong. Even the weakest of them was at the peak of the Sovereign Realm. Most of them were at the Sovereign Realm. Emo Chingyun was shocked when he saw the scene before him, and a strong feeling of surprise and bewilderment arose in his heart. He muttered to himself, "Where is this place? Why are there so many experts and demonic beasts here?" While Emo Chingyun was puzzled, the people fighting the demonic beasts in front of him noticed Emo Chingyun's presence. A 9th-level divinity realm brat is at the entrance to the path of slaughter. Didn't the Heavenly Soul Continent lose the right to enter the path of slaughter after the ancient war? Why would someone enter the path of slaughter from there? It's strange. A 9th-level divinity realm brat wants to enter the path of slaughter? He must be tired of living. Release a few demonic beasts to play with him. Let this brat know that there are some places he can't enter as he pleases. Everyone looked at Emo Chingyun and mocked him. They released several demonic beasts to attack Emo Chingyun. 1 Sovereign Realm Demonic Beast, 3 Sovereigns. Emo Chingyun was shocked when he saw the 4 demonic beasts attacking him. His nerves tensed up. 1 Sovereign Realm Demonic Beast, and 3 Sovereign Realm Demonic Beast. This wasn't something he could deal with. This was asking for his life. After a moment of silence, Emo Chingyun didn't think too much about it. He immediately turned around and prepared to return to the Ragefire Immortal Abode through the blood-colored portal. Soon, Emo Chingyun arrived before the Bloody Light teleportation gate and charged straight in. However, Emo Chingyun did not expect that after he rushed into the blood-colored teleportation door, he would be repelled by a force. "I can't pass through?" After discovering this, Emo Chingyun's expression instantly became heavy. This was going to be troublesome. Seeing Emo Chingyun's actions, the people in front of him immediately laughed, and the ridicule in their expressions became even more apparent. This is hilarious. Looks like this kid must have accidentally walked into the Slaughter Road's teleportation gate. He's just a silly kid. Don't bother about him. Let him fend for himself. After mocking Emo Chingyun, the mockery stopped. They ignored Emo Chingyun and let Emo Chingyun be surrounded by the 4 demonic beasts. Scorching Sun Shield. Emo Chingyun didn't dare to be careless when he saw the 4 demonic beasts approaching him. He immediately activated the first form of the Ragefire Immortal Art, the Scorching Sun Shield. Suddenly, an aquamarine water shield condensed around Emo Chingyun's body, exuding a terrifying heat wave. Bang bang bang, when the water shield was formed, the attacks of the 4 demonic beasts arrived. They landed on the water shield and made several loud sounds. Pop! Under the joint attack of the 4 demonic beasts, the water shield was finally broken. The sound of a bubble popping could be heard. At the same time as the ripple shield exploded, an even more terrifying flame energy erupted from the ripple shield, instantly enveloping the 4 demonic beasts. Roar, roar, roar! The 4 demonic beasts cried out in pain when they were hit by the law energy of the water shield. Their expressions were filled with fear. Especially the 3 demonic beasts with Supreme Being cultivation. Under the impact of the law of fire, half of their bodies were burned. They looked extremely miserable. The cries of the 4 demonic beasts attracted the attention of the people in front. They turned to look at Emo Chingyun. Everyone was shocked when they saw it. They couldn't believe what they saw. A kid with a cultivation of level 9 of the Divine Power Realm actually withstood the joint attack of 4 demonic beasts. Law energy. How is this possible? How can a person with a cultivation of level 9 of the Divine Power Realm grasp the power of law? Who is this kid? He only has a cultivation of level 9 of the Divine Power Realm, but he actually grasped the law of fire. He's too freakish. Looks like we've underestimated him. This kid isn't simple. At this moment, everyone looked at Emo Qingyun in a new light. They felt that Emo Qingyun had become even more mysterious. While everyone was looking at Emo Qingyun in shock, Emo Qingyun didn't hesitate at all. Teleportation Gate. After repelling the 4 demonic beasts, Emo Qingyun unleashed the teleportation gate and entered the teleportation whirlpool. Following that, Emo Qingyun's figure disappeared before everyone's eyes. He didn't dare to stay any longer. With his current strength, he couldn't withstand the continuous attacks of the Sovereign Realm demonic beasts. It was better to leave this place as soon as possible. Disappeared? Seeing Emo Qingyun's figure disappear, everyone's expression changed again. They were stunned by Emo Qingyun's performance. One had to admit that Emo Qingyun's current method had completely exceeded their understanding. That kid disappeared. He seems to have used a teleportation technique. This kid is too strange. Indeed, he's very strange. Not only can he comprehend the law of fire at the divine power realm, but he also has a teleportation technique. It's too unbelievable. Do you guys think this kid is someone from there? No matter where this kid came from, I'll remember him. At this moment, Emo Qingyun left an indelible impression in everyone's hearts. Phew. That was close. After unleashing the teleportation gate and returning to the Furious Flame immortal abode, Emo Qingyun took a deep breath and calmed the fear in his heart. The situation just now was really too dangerous. If he didn't have the teleportation gate and could return to the Furious Flame immortal abode, he would have died in that corridor today. Just now, those people said that the corridor was the path of death. Could it be that the corridor is the path of death of the 7 great ancient roads? Recalling what he said just now, Emo Qingyun guessed the origin of the corridor. He was shocked again and thought to himself, I didn't expect there to be so many demonic beasts in the path of death. It seems like it's going to be difficult to get to the wasteland continent. Forget it, I won't think about it anymore. Now that I've explored the entire Furious Flame immortal abode, it's time to leave. Emo Qingyun shook his head and stopped thinking about the path of death. He lifted his leg and walked out of the Furious Flame immortal abode. Chapter 1067. Just now, the combined attack of the 3 Sovereign Realm demonic beasts didn't shatter the Scorching Sun shield. Instead, it was the Sovereign Realm demonic beast that shattered the Scorching Sun shield. On the way out of the Immortal Fury abode, Emo Qingyun recalled the battle and gained a better understanding of the Scorching Sun shield's defensive capabilities. With the Scorching Sun shield's defensive capabilities, it would be very difficult for a Sovereign Realm expert to break through it. Only a Sovereign Realm expert could do so. With the Scorching Sun shield's defensive capabilities and my various trump cards, I should be able to sweep through Li He's group of 3. Thinking about how his strength had increased during this trip to the Immortal Fury abode, Emo Qingyun was filled with intense joy. Leaving the Blazing Valley was much easier than entering it. There wasn't the slightest obstruction along the way. Soon, Emo Qingyun arrived at the entrance of the Blazing Valley. With a leap, he returned to the Heaven's Spirit Tomb. Once he returned to the Heaven's Spirit Tomb, Emo Qingyun saw Li He's group of 3 not far away. Li He's group also saw Emo Qingyun. Seeing Emo Qingyun come out of the Blazing Valley, Li He immediately revealed a sinister smile as he got up and approached Emo Qingyun. After waiting for nearly 2 years, Emo Qingyun had finally come out of the Blazing Valley. Brat, I thought you died in the Blazing Valley. I didn't expect you to still be alive. Emo Qingyun, you're finally willing to come out. I thought you would continue to hide. Last time, I let you hide in the Blazing Valley. This time, you won't be so lucky. After saying these cold words, Li He's body moved and blocked the entrance to the Blazing Valley. In his opinion, he wouldn't make the same mistake twice. Escape? Why should I escape? Hearing the words of Li He's group of three, Mo Qingyun couldn't help but laugh with a strong sense of ridicule. He coldly laughed and said, "I was originally worried that the three of you would get impatient and directly leave the Heaven's Spirit Tomb. I didn't expect you guys to be guarding here. This has saved me a lot of trouble." Mo Qingyun's words stunned Li He and the other two. They were surprised by Mo Qingyun's reaction. Shouldn't Mo Qingyun be nervous and afraid when he saw the three of them? "From the looks of it, you seem to have gained quite a lot in the Valley of Flames. It gave you the confidence to confront us." Yi Fei-yong smiled coldly. His eyes were full of disdain. He said coldly, "If that's the case, then let me see how much you've improved in the Valley of Flames." Eastern Hegemon Spear, Reverse Koan Wheel. Yi Fei-yong held the golden spear in his hand and leaped into the air. He spun 1,080 degrees in the air, creating several golden afterimages. After these afterimages were formed, they disappeared in a flash. In the blink of an eye, they were in front of Mo Qingyun and aimed at Mo Qingyun's head. As these afterimages approached, the laws of metal radiated from their bodies, transforming into thin golden needles that pierced towards Mo Qingyun. Still using this move? Seeing Yi Fei-yong's attack, Mo Qingyun curled his lips in disdain. He shook his head and said, "Yi Fei-yong, it seems that after so many years, you still haven't improved at all." Wild Scorching Sun. As Mo Qingyun's words fell, he used the first move of the Celestial Fury Art, Wild Scorching Sunday. Then, a blue water shield condensed around Mo Qingyun's body. After this blue water shield formed, a terrifying heat wave was emitted from it, burning the surrounding 10 miles into a red color. Under the impact of this terrifying heat wave, the afterimages and golden needles that were attacking Mo Qingyun quickly dissipated in the air. How can this be? How did he become so strong? Seeing that his all-out attack couldn't even touch Mo Qingyun's body, Yi Fei-yong's face was filled with horror. Too strong. The strength that Mo Qingyun displayed was too strong, so strong that it made his heart palpitate. There was no other way. His all-out attack couldn't even touch Mo Qingyun's body, so how could he fight against Mo Qingyun? There's something wrong with this kid. Let's attack together. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Li He and Yi Fei-yong's expressions tensed up as they realized the severity of the situation. The current Mo Qingyun wasn't easy to deal with, so they had to fight with all their strength. Chilling Spirit Sword Art, 10,000 Swords Fly. Li He held a green longsword in his hand and quickly formed a hand seal, pointing at the longsword in his hand. Suddenly, the green longsword shone with a green light, releasing a terrifying sword ray. The moment this sword ray was released, it turned into tens of thousands of sword rays and rapidly bombarded Mo Qingyun. When these sword lights bombarded, the sword lights carried a mysterious power. This was the sword force of a person who had reached the higher realm. Under the support of this sword force, the sword ray's power instantly multiplied, reaching a level that would make a late-stage Supreme Being expert tremble in fear. Curling Cloud Lightning Crocodile, come out and fight. Under Yang Yunfan's attack, he didn't dare to hold back and immediately summoned his spiritual beast. Following which, a crocodile-shaped demonic beast covered in lightning appeared in front of Yang Yunfan. This demonic beast was very strong. It was also at the late-stage Supreme Being realm, and its aura was even stronger than Yang Yunfan's. Roar. After being summoned by Yang Yunfan, the curling cloud lightning crocodile opened its bloody mouth and pounced at Mo Qingyun with its steel-like claws. When the curling cloud lightning crocodile attacked Mo Qingyun, Yi Fei-yong jumped up and stood on the crocodile's back. Eastern Overbearing Sky Spear, Sky-piercing golden feathers. Under the swing of Yi Fei-yong's golden spear, it released a dazzling golden light that turned into golden crystalline wings, giving off an extremely sharp feeling. When these golden crystalline wings formed, they overlapped with each other and formed a diamond-like spearhead. With a thunderous force, it blasted towards Mo Qingyun. Bang! 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 Li He and the other two's attacks landed on the scorching sun's shield at the same time, producing a series of earth-shattering explosions and creating a destructive yuan energy storm. When this yuan energy storm was formed, it enveloped the space several miles around Mo Qingyun, making it impossible for others to see the situation inside. After a moment, the yuan energy storm dissipated, revealing the situation inside. However, when Li He and the other two saw the situation in front of them, their faces turned pale. They couldn't believe that this was real. Even when the three of them worked together, they still couldn't break Mo Qingyun's shield. This was too hard to accept. If you can't break it, then you can't break it. It doesn't matter how many people there are. Looking at the shocked faces of Li He and the other two, Mo Qingyun said sarcastically. He said coldly, "Since you guys are done for, now it's my turn to make a move." After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he took out the immortal burning battle halberd and slashed at Yi Feiyang, who was closest to him. "Run!" Seeing Mo Qingyun make a move, Yi Feiyang and the other two didn't dare to hesitate. They immediately turned around and prepared to escape. In their hearts, they were very clear that Mo Qingyun's strength had already reached its peak. He wasn't someone they could deal with. Author's note: this is it for today. Good night, everyone. Chapter 1068. Demonic Shadow Traceless, Ground Shrink. Mo Qingyun's body moved, leaving behind a few afterimages, and disappeared from where he was standing. When Mo Qingyun's body reappeared, he was already behind Yi Feiyang, waving the immortal burning war halberd towards him. The halberd swept horizontally, the flames raged, the halberd light was like a dragon emerging from the sea, rushing towards Yi Feiyang and directly swallowing him. "No, no!" Yi Feiyang immediately cried out in fear when he saw the terrifying flame dragon quickly coiling around him. At the same time, he waved the golden spear in his hand and pierced it towards the immortal burning war halberd, trying to block the attack. Clang! The golden spear and the immortal burning war halberd collided, creating a crisp sound and entering a state of stalemate. However, this state of stalemate only lasted for a moment before a scene that terrified Yi Feiyang happened. He realized that the place where his spear touched the immortal burning war halberd was disappearing little by little. Seeing this, Yi Feiyang was immediately scared out of his wits and prepared to withdraw his spear. However, just as he was about to withdraw his spear, Mo Qingyun laughed mockingly and said coldly, "It's too late to withdraw your spear now. Immortal burning war halberd, let me refine it." Bang! Under Mo Qingyun's control, the flame of the immortal burning war halberd suddenly rose and the devouring power became even stronger. In the blink of an eye, more than half of the spear in Yi Feiyang's hand was devoured and it was still shrinking. After a few breaths, Yi Feiyang helplessly threw away his spear and became nourishment for the immortal burning war halberd. The spear in Yi Feiyang's hand was not of a low grade, reaching the level of a top-tier spiritual weapon. After the immortal burning war halberd swallowed Yi Feiyang's spear, its aura was clearly stronger. His war halberd can devour other weapons to increase its level? Seeing the change in the immortal burning war halberd, Yi Feiyang's expression suddenly became shocked. With his thousands of years of experience, this was the first time he saw this kind of thing. Strange, too strange. Mo Qingyun did not care about Yi Feiyang's shock. He smiled and said, "Didn't you just say you wanted to see my harvest? How do you feel now?" Mo Qingyun did not wait for Yi Feiyang's reply. He waved his immortal burning battle halberd again and attacked Yi Feiyang. When Yi Feiyang was at his peak, he was no match for Mo Qingyun. Now, not only was he injured, but he had also lost his weapon. Naturally, he was no match for Mo Qingyun. Moreover, he comprehended the laws of metal, which just happened to be countered by Mo Qingyun's laws of fire. He could be said to be completely suppressed by Mo Qingyun. In this way, how could Yi Feiyang fight Mo Qingyun? Very quickly, He was beaten by Mo Qingyun to the point where he couldn't even fight back. Pucci. Mo Qingyun and Yi Feiyang fought for a few rounds. Yi Feiyang was finally no match for Mo Qingyun, and his chest was pierced through by Mo Qingyun's halberd. Yi Feiyang's eyes widened when he saw the hole in his chest and his clothes dyed red with blood. He couldn't believe that this was real. Yi Feiyang, stood at the top of the pyramid in the Tianhan continent. He was a late-stage sovereign. But today, he died at the hands of a 9th-level transcendent stage brat. What an ironic ending. Can you tell me, who are you? Why are you helping the heavenly pool divine mountain? Before he died, Yi Feiyang asked Mo Qingyun one last question with an expectant expression. From Yi Feiyang's point of view, the hatred between him and Mo Qingyun was mainly because of the heavenly pool divine mountain. There's no harm in telling you, because I am Gucci. Now you can die in peace. Mo Qingyun coldly replied to Yi Feiyang's question. He then pulled the immortal burning battle halberd out of Yi Feiyang's body. You're Gucci. You're not dead. Yi Feiyang's pupils shrank when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. It was as if he heard the most terrifying thing in the world. He stared at Mo Qingyun with wide eyes. Before he could finish his sentence, Yi Feiyang breathed his last. Plop! Without the support of the immortal burning battle halberd, Yi Feiyang's body fell to the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Looking at Yi Feiyang's corpse, Mo Qingyun didn't think too much about it. He raised his hand and stored it into the 5-directional pagoda. Yi Feiyang was a late-stage Supreme Being expert. Not to mention that his corpse was refined by Qi Lian. Just the blood in his body was an extremely precious material for refining pills. After storing Yi Feiyang's corpse, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate any longer. He chased after Li He and Yi Feiyang. While Mo Qingyun was killing Yi Feiyang, Li He and Yi Feiyang were already far away. They disappeared from Mo Qingyun's sight. They ran pretty fast. Seeing that Li He and Yi Feiyang had disappeared, Mo Qingyun's expression was cold as he spoke these cold words. However, Mo Qingyun wasn't afraid that Li He and Yi Feiyang would run away. In any case, even if they could run away, they couldn't run away from the temple, unless they didn't return to the sect. For Mo Qingyun, his most important mission right now was to find Song Jian in the heavens' spirit tomb. However, Mo Qingyun wasn't willing to let Li He and Yi Feiyang escape just like that. After pondering for a moment, he came up with a plan. If nothing unexpected happens, Li He and Yi Feiyang must be heading towards the exit of the heavens' spirit tomb. I can directly go there and kill them. I can also prevent Song Jian from leaving the heavens' spirit tomb after he recovers. With this thought, Mo Qingyun didn't delay any longer and immediately rushed towards the exit of the heavens' spirit tomb. Transfer gate. In order to increase his speed, Mo Qingyun directly used the transfer gate to reach the exit of the heavens' spirit tomb before Li He and Yi Feiyang left. After using the transfer gate, Mo Qingyun's speed immediately increased by several times. 15 minutes later, Mo Qingyun arrived at the exit of the heavens' spirit tomb and waited for Li He and Yi Feiyang to arrive. Just as Mo Qingyun had expected, Li He and Yi Feiyang were indeed heading towards the exit of the heavens' spirit tomb and were preparing to leave. Seeing Mo Qingyun standing at the exit of the heavens' spirit tomb, Li He and Yi Feiyang's faces instantly paled and their expressions were filled with fear. Mo Qingyun had actually arrived here a step ahead of them, blocking their path. Seeing that their path was blocked, Li He and Yi Feiyang sighed in their hearts. Mo Qingyun's move was truly ruthless and decisive. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Seeing the arrival of Li He and Yi Feiyang, Mo Qingyun revealed a cold smile as he spoke these cold words. After speaking, Mo Qingyun dragged the immortal burning battle halberd and walked towards Li He and Yi Feiyang. Zzz. As the immortal burning battle halberd was dragged on the ground, it emitted a series of sharp sounds and sparks appeared from the friction with the ground. Seeing this scene, Li He and Yi Feiyang were instantly shocked, and the fear in their hearts became intense to the extreme. Chapter 1069. Mo Qingyun, what did you do to Yi Feiyang? Yang Yunfan had lost all sense of propriety under the pressure of Tang Wulin's aura. As soon as the words left his mouth, he realized that his words were inappropriate. Wasn't the situation before him obvious enough? Mo Qingyun and Yi Feiyang had fought, and now Mo Qingyun was here, but Yi Feiyang was nowhere to be seen. It was clear that Yi Feiyang was no match for Mo Qingyun. He was already dead by Mo Qingyun's halberd. Yi Feiyang. Mo Qingyun sneered and revealed an expression of disdain when he heard this. Of course he's dead. Now, I've come to send all of you to accompany him. Li He's face trembled at Mo Qingyun's words. Mo, little brother Mo, he said nervously, there isn't much enmity between us. Everything that happened before was our fault. Can you please give us a chance to make up for it? There isn't much enmity between us? Mo Qingyun smiled disdainfully at Li He's words. He shook his head. No, there is much enmity between us. The hatred between us is very deep. I don't mind telling you that I am Gucci. I've always remembered the grudge from back then. Gucci. Li He and Li He felt as if they'd been struck by lightning when they heard Mo Qingyun's words. They couldn't be more familiar with Gucci's name. He was the most dazzling genius of the Tianhun continent. Other than that, the three of them had tried to kill Gucci in the Heaven's Spirit Tomb for the 9 pills heavenly arcana. What they found hard to believe was that Gucci, who had been killed by them all those years ago, had come back to life. More importantly, it was one thing for Gucci to come back to life, but the three of them had become so terrifyingly powerful. This was the worst possible outcome for them. It was so bad that they couldn't believe it. Mo, no, brother Gucci, we were too greedy back then. We lost ourselves and caused you irreparable harm. I've always felt guilty about this. After calming the shock and fear in his heart, Li He put on an ashamed expression and apologized to Mo Qingyun. Since you've come back to life and are even stronger than before, this can be considered a blessing in disguise. Why don't you give us a chance to make up for the mistakes we made in the past? Yes, brother Gucci, as long as you promise not to kill us, we'll do anything. Even if you want us to give you the Divine Beast Mountain. After hearing Li He's words, Yang Yunfan didn't dare to hesitate and quickly expressed his opinion to Mo Qingyun. Brother? Please don't insult that word. The corners of Mo Qingyun's eyes narrowed slightly as a mocking smile appeared on his face. He sneered and said, As for the chance to make up for it? I'll give you a chance. If the two of you are lucky enough to be reincarnated after I kill you, I'll write off what happened back then. But for now, you'd better accept your deaths. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he no longer wasted any more words with Li He and the other man. His figure flashed as he charged towards them. Brother Yang, let's go all out. It seems that if we don't go all out today, we won't be able to leave this place alive. Seeing Mo Qingyun charging at them, Li He shouted to Yang Yunfan and attacked with all his might. Small world of the ancient sword realm. As soon as Li He made a move, he brought out his precious elephant's small world. Then, a small independent space appeared above Li He's body. There were hundreds of millions of broken swords in this small space. They exuded a terrifying aura. Clang, 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 the sound of swords being unsheathed rang out. The broken swords in the small world of the ancient sword realm flew out continuously. They formed a sea of swords and bombarded Mo Qingyun. Good timing! Mo Qingyun let out a bold and unrestrained shout as he watched the boundless sea of swords rushing towards him. His expression revealed an arrogant expression. Mo Qingyun realized that these broken swords were all above the level of artifacts. Moreover, there were hundreds of millions of them. If the immortal burning battle halberd devoured all of them, it would definitely break through the limit of a spiritual artifact and reach a higher level. Then, Mo Qingyun leaped up. Instead of retreating, he charged towards the Sea of Swords. Wild scorching sun. When Emo Qingyun charged towards the Sea of Swords, he used the first move of the Celestial Fury art, Wild Scorching Sunday. Suddenly, a water shield formed around Emo Qingyun's body. It emitted a terrifying heat wave and aura. Soon, Emo Qingyun charged into the Sea of Swords. He formed a hand seal and pointed at the immortal burning battle halberd. He controlled the immortal burning battle halberd to devour the broken swords. Under Emo Qingyun's control, the immortal burning battle halberd emitted a terrifying flame. It devoured the broken swords that came close to it. As the immortal burning battle halberd continued to refine the broken swords, the aura emitted by the immortal burning battle halberd became stronger and stronger. The speed at which it devoured the broken swords also became faster. While Li He was attacking with all his might, Yang Yunfan did not remain idle. He also activated his small world of the elephant. Then, one by one, ferocious-looking demonic beasts flew out from Yang Yunfan's small world of the elephant and charged towards Emo Qingyun. These demonic beasts were not weak. Every single one of them was comparable to a half-sovereign or even a half-sovereign. Although these demonic beasts had not reached the Supreme Being realm, their terrifying numbers were enough to make a Supreme Being realm expert retreat. Of course, Yang Yunfan's current goal was not to use these demonic beasts to force Emo Qingyun to retreat. Instead, he wanted to use these demonic beasts to deplete Emo Qingyun's origin energy. Humph. Boy, although your strength is astonishing, this old man doesn't believe that your essence energy will be limitless. That's right. Once we deplete his origin energy, it will be time for us to kill him. Li He and Yang Yunfan displayed their strongest technique. Their faces were dark as they waited for Emo Qingyun to deplete his origin energy. Then, a strange scene appeared. Emo Qingyun and the immortal burning battle halberd in midair turned into two balls of light, one blue and one red. They continuously devoured the broken swords around them and killed the demonic beasts that came close. As for the demonic beasts and broken swords, they were like moths to a flame. When they got close to Emo Qingyun and the immortal burning battle halberd, they were annihilated. When they saw this scene, Li He and Yang Yunfan sneered. Their evil plan had succeeded. However, they did not know that the reason they could maintain this state was because Emo Qingyun did not want to break it. If Emo Qingyun wanted to, he could break this state at any time and kill Li He and Yang Yunfan. The reason why he did not break it was because he wanted the immortal burning battle halberd to devour more broken swords to increase its grade. After all, there were not many opportunities for the immortal burning battle halberd to increase its grade. As time passed, the number of broken swords and demonic beasts was increasing. Gradually, Li He and Yang Yunfan could not bear it anymore. However, Emo Qingyun, who was in midair, did not seem to be running out of origin energy. Chapter 1070. Sword Honorable, why hasn't this kid exhausted his origin energy? More than half of the demonic beasts in my precious elephant small world have already been depleted. My sword realm is the same. I've been collecting broken swords for nearly 1,000 years, and I've already exhausted 60% of them. If this continues, my sword realm will collapse. Looking at Emo Qingyun, who was still full of energy, Li He and Yang Yunfan were anxious. A strong sense of uneasiness rose in their hearts. Based on the current situation, it didn't seem like they were going to exhaust Emo Qingyun. Instead, it seemed like they were going to be exhausted by Emo Qingyun. At this moment, while Li He and Yang Yunfan were anxious, the immortal burning halberd in Emo Qingyun's hand suddenly emitted a dazzling golden light. After the golden light appeared, it quickly condensed and turned into a small golden crown. After the golden crown was formed, the fire dragon artifact spirit that was hidden in the immortal burning halberd flew out. After the fire dragon artifact spirit flew out of the immortal burning halberd, the golden crown fell on its head and fused with it tightly. Following that, the fire dragon artifact spirit's aura became several times stronger. The golden crown has descended, the king's aura. That kid's halberd has been upgraded to a king artifact. His weapon has been upgraded? Could it be that he's using my sword C to upgrade his weapon? Seeing the changes in the immortal burning halberd, Li He and Yang Yunfan were shocked. They were frightened by the scene before them. They were no match for Mo Qingyun to begin with. Now that the grade of Mo Qingyun's weapon had increased, wouldn't their situation become even worse? While Li He and Yang Yunfan were panicking, a strong figure rushed towards them at an extremely fast speed. Seeing the figure approaching them, Li He and Yang Yunfan were delighted. They recognized the person approaching them. At this moment, the figure approaching them at an extremely fast speed was Song Jian, who had disappeared for a long time. For Li He and Yang Yunfan, Song Jian's arrival was like sending charcoal in snowy weather. He had given them a powerful boost. Venerable sword, venerable beast, let me help. Song Jian arrived in front of Li He and the sovereign beast with a solemn expression. He looked up at Mo Qingyun and said coldly, "Boy, I didn't expect you to have such a day. Now that the sovereign sword and the sovereign beast have joined forces, you won't be able to escape today." Song Jian? Hearing Song Jian's words, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly. He could not help but reveal a look of surprise. He had been searching for Song Jian in the Heaven's Spirit Tomb for more than half a year, but he hadn't been able to find him. Who would have thought that Song Jian would actually deliver himself to his doorstep? As the saying goes, one can wear out iron shoes in fruitless search, only to find it by chance without any effort. Can't escape. The corners of Mo Qingyun's mouth curled up slightly. He smiled meaningfully at Song Jian and said, "Song Jian, it seems like you haven't seen the situation clearly. However, since you've delivered yourself to my doorstep, you can die with them." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Song Jian's expression changed slightly. Only then did he feel that the atmosphere was a little strange. Yi Fei Yang seemed to have disappeared? After realizing this, Song Jian's expression changed. He had a bad feeling in his heart. He quickly asked Li He, "Venerable sword, where is the venerable spear? How come I don't see him with you?" "Brother Yi, he was killed by Mo Qingyun." In response to Song Jian's question, Li He stuttered and said something that made Song Jian shudder. Yi Fei Yang was dead? Even when Li He and the other two joined forces, one of them was still killed by Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun's ability was too terrifying. His ability was not as good as Mo Qingyun's. Therefore, even if he and Li He joined forces, they would still not be able to defeat Mo Qingyun. If that was the case, he would be in danger now. He might end up like Yi Fei Yang. No, this must be fake. This boy is only of the 9th level of the Transcendent Realm. How can he be so strong? Song Jian's face was filled with fear. He kept shaking his head, unable to accept the fact that Yi Fei Yang was killed. Mo Qingyun did not care about Song Jian's fear. He moved his body and charged towards Song Jian. Compared to Li He and the other two, Mo Qingyun wanted to kill Song Jian more. As long as he could obtain Song Jian's bloodline, his heavenly soul demonic body would be completed. Now that Song Jian had come to him, he could not miss such an opportunity. Heavenly Flames Sky Breaking Halberd. Shaoza Heavenly Spirit Finger. Inaction Sky Concealing Finger. Zhongtong Killing Finger. Upper Devouring Spirit Finger. When Mo Qingyun attacked Li He and the other two, Mo Qingyun executed all his offensive techniques and blasted them towards Li He and the other two. Suddenly, a fire dragon halberd light and 3 finger lights shot towards Li He and the other two. Faced with Mo Qingyun's overbearing attack, Li He and Yang Yunfan were shocked. They looked at each other and instantly understood each other's thoughts. Then, Li He and Yang Yunfan did not hesitate. They attacked Song Jian with their palms, sending him flying to block Mo Qingyun's attack. Honorable sword, honorable beast, you. Seeing Li He and Yang Yunfan's actions, Song Jian's face was filled with disbelief. He could not believe that this was real. He wanted to join forces with Li He and Yang Yunfan to fight against Mo Qingyun. However, Li He and Yang Yunfan were going to sacrifice him to create a chance for them to escape. This action was too despicable and shameless. As expected, a dog can't change its habits. Seeing Li He and Yang Yunfan's actions, Mo Qingyun's face was filled with disdain. He said disdainfully, "Humph! I let you escape last time. This time, you won't be so lucky." 9x9 Azure Sea Mysterious Ice Dragon Capturing Hand. As Mo Qingyun's words fell, he attacked Li He and Yang Yunfan with his palms, sending out 2 terrifying waves of Yuan Qi. The 2 waves of Yuan Qi turned into 2 huge blue palms that pierced through the sky and grabbed at Li He and Yang Yunfan. Soon, Li He and Yang Yunfan were caught by the blue palms. Then, the blue palms turned into giant ice palms that tightly grasped Li He and Yang Yunfan. Law of Water missed. Seeing that he was caught by the ice palms, Li He did not dare to hesitate. He immediately activated the power of the Law of Water. Under the impact of the Law of Water, the ice palms that were holding him instantly dissipated and turned into mist. Seeing that the ice palms had dissipated, Li He did not dare to waste any time and immediately rushed out of the Heaven's Spirit Tomb. As for Yang Yunfan's life or death, it was completely thrown to the back of his mind. Right now, the most important thing was to protect his own life. "I forgot that you have comprehended the Law of Water." Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly when he saw Li He escape from the Heaven's Spirit Tomb. He revealed a look of understanding. However, he did not continue to chase after Li He. In his opinion, capturing Song Jian was enough. Chapter 1071. Mo Qingyun withdrew his gaze from Li He and made a grabbing motion in the air, bringing Yang Yunfan and Song Jian before him. Gu Qi, let me explain. Back then, I was bewitched by Li He. That's why Yang Yunfan was terrified when he saw Mo Qingyun bring him before him. He hurriedly explained to Mo Qingyun. Haha, is that so? Mo Qingyun laughed in disdain when he heard Yang Yunfan's lame excuse. His expression darkened as he directly raised his hand and pinched Yang Yunfan's head. He coldly said, "Since it was Li He who caused you to end up like this, remember to take revenge on Li He after you reincarnate." When he spoke up to this point, Mo Qingyun suddenly smiled brilliantly and said, "I almost forgot to tell you that Li He will be accompanying all of you soon. So, you won't have the chance to take revenge." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he tightened his grip on Yang Yunfan's head, causing it to deform. No. Yang Yunfan immediately spat out a mouthful of blood as his head was deformed by Mo Qingyun's grip. His face was filled with fear and pleading. However, Mo Qingyun chose to ignore his pleading. Crack, the crisp sound of bones cracking rang out. Yang Yunfan's eyes widened as his body went limp. He died with his eyes wide open. Song Jian's body trembled when he saw Yang Yunfan's death. His eyes were filled with fear as he said in a panic, I don't think I have any enmity with you. Can you spare me this once? Do you have any enmity with me? Mo Qingyun asked Song Jian in return. Before Song Jian could reply, his expression turned cold as he said coldly, "Let's not talk about the fact that you took something that didn't belong to you. You also schemed to injure Tai Tu Sovereign. I won't let you off either." Mo Qingyun did not wait for Song Jian to speak before he struck out with his palm, killing Song Jian on the spot. After killing Song Jian, Mo Qingyun brought his corpse to a secluded place. Then, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and entered the 5-direction pagoda. After entering the 5-directional pagoda, Mo Qingyun did not delay any longer and immediately began to draw Song Jian's blood. As the blood in his body was extracted by Mo Qingyun, Song Jian's body shriveled up bit by bit. Finally, he became a bag of bones. After extracting Song Jian's blood, Mo Qingyun immediately refined it to increase the strength of his heavenly soul demon bloodline. As Mo Qingyun refined Song Jian's blood, the devil aura emanating from his body grew stronger and stronger. The devil shadow condensed outside his body also became more and more solid. In the end, the devil shadow completely materialized and became a true demon god. When the demon god shadow took shape, Song Jian's blood was completely refined by Mo Qingyun. At this moment, the demon god shadow outside Mo Qingyun's body suddenly emitted a shocking aura. It directly enveloped Mo Qingyun. Under this shocking aura, Mo Qingyun directly lost his ability to move. The blood in his body was like boiling water, churning violently. Bloodline atavism? Sensing the situation in his body, Mo Qingyun's expression suddenly changed. He was greatly shocked by the situation in his body. Of course, while Mo Qingyun was shocked, he was more than happy. According to the description of the Heavenly Soul Demon clan in his mind, the probability of bloodline atavism was very small. Once the bloodline atavism was carried out, the strength of the bloodline would undergo a qualitative change and produce a new talent, bloodline oppression. When fighting with others, as long as he released bloodline oppression, he could directly crush the blood vessels of those with lower bloodlines and kill them. After about a few hours, the burning sensation in Mo Qingyun's body finally disappeared. This meant that the bloodline atavism was over. At the same time, the demon god shadow outside Mo Qingyun's body also disappeared. Seeing that the bloodline atavism was over, Mo Qingyun stood up, stretched his arms, and sensed the changes in his body. Bloodline oppression. After adapting to the changes in his body, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and immediately released bloodline oppression. Bang! A terrifying blood-red light burst out from Mo Qingyun's body and turned into a shock wave that blasted into the surroundings. Under the shock wave of the blood-red light, the space in the 5 directional towers trembled as if it could not withstand the blood-red shock wave. What a terrifying bloodline oppression! Its power is actually comparable to the attack of a sovereign realm expert. Seeing the power of the bloodline oppression, Mo Qingyun was shocked. His eyes widened as he said in shock, How is this possible? According to the records in my mind, the bloodline oppression seems to be just an oppressive aura and is not a real divine ability. How can my bloodline oppression be like this? Could it be that my bloodline oppression has mutated? Forget it, let's not think about it. I'll know in the future. After this thought appeared, Mo Qingyun shook his head and felt that it was somewhat impossible. Then, Mo Qingyun stopped thinking about it and checked the changes in his body again. After a round of checking, Mo Qingyun had a clear understanding of his situation and said, After the bloodline atavism, the strength of my body has directly increased from the peak of precious weapon to the level of intermediate spiritual weapon. Now, my body can be considered as a human-shaped weapon. With the cultivation of Li He and the others, the weapons they used were only peak spiritual weapons. The majority of half-exalted realm experts used intermediate spiritual weapons. Therefore, it was not unreasonable for Mo Qingyun to describe his body in this way. My cultivation has broken through to the half-exalted realm. After sensing the changes in his body, Mo Qingyun's expression suddenly changed and a trace of surprise appeared. He really did not expect that his cultivation would reach the half-exalted realm without any cultivation. Half-exalted realm. Mo Qingyun smiled faintly when he saw that his cultivation had broken through to the half-reverend level. He muttered to himself, With my current strength, I'm afraid that I can put up a fight against Li He even if I don't use any of my trump cards. However, it will still be quite difficult to kill him. Since I've already killed Song Jian and the others, it's time to leave the Heaven's Spirit Tomb. Looking at the corpses of Song Jian and the others in front of him, Mo Qingyun inwardly sighed, and prepared to leave the 5 directions small pagoda. However, just as Mo Qingyun was about to leave the 5 directions small pagoda, his expression suddenly changed and he expectantly said, "That's right, Yang Yunfan and Yi Feiyang have controlled the 2 divine mountains for so many years and should have quite a few treasures in their hands. Song Jian has also stayed in the Heaven's Spirit Tomb for a long time, so he should have quite a few treasures on him." Chapter 1072. Just as Mo Qingyun had guessed, Yang Yunfan and Yi Feiyang's Qinkuan bags contained quite a few good things. There were over 100 spirit artifacts. Among them, there were 3 top-grade spirit artifacts, more than 10 high-grade spirit artifacts, and the rest were all middle-grade spirit artifacts. With the nourishment of these spirit artifacts, the immortal Burning War Halberd's grade should be able to rise to another level. Looking at the 100 spirit artifacts in front of him, Mo Qingyun's face immediately revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. His expression became somewhat excited. Following which, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and continued to count the items in Yang Yunfan and Yi Feiyang's collection. After a round of counting, Mo Qingyun discovered that there were still many martial arts manuals, pills, and various materials in Yi Feiyang's Qinkuan bags. After seeing these items, Mo Qingyun felt slightly disappointed. Other than the materials that were useful to him, these pills and martial arts manuals were useless. After putting away the various materials, Mo Qingyun separated the martial arts manuals and pills, preparing to hand them over to Qi Lian when the time came. Pada, at this moment, when Mo Qingyun was putting away the martial arts manuals and other items, a few small stones with spirit energy flowing around them fell in front of him. What a strange stone, it actually contains such abundant spirit energy. Picking up the stone in front of him, Mo Qingyun carefully looked at it, his eyes revealing a look of curiosity. After a careful observation, Mo Qingyun still could not see the origin of these stone platforms. He helplessly shook his head and said, "For these stones to be collected by Yi Feiyang and Yi Feiyang, their origins must not be simple. I'll let Senior He Xian and the others take a look later." From Mo Qingyun's point of view, He Xian and the others came from the wild continent, so they should have much more experience than him. Perhaps they would know the origin of these stones. Song Jian stayed in the Heaven's Spirit Tomb for a long time, so he should have a lot of good things on him. After putting away the stones, Mo Qingyun revealed an expression of anticipation as he opened Song Jian's Qinkuan bag. After a round of inspection, Mo Qingyun suddenly showed a shocked expression. He was shocked by Song Jian's collection. Although Song Jian was not as strong as Li He and the other 2, his collection was far more valuable and rich than Yang Yunfan and the other 2. 3 Broken King artifacts, 9 top-grade spirit artifacts, 100 high-grade spirit artifacts, 326 middle-grade spirit artifacts, and over 1,000 elementary-grade spirit artifacts. After counting the number of spirit tools in Song Jian's Qinkuan bag, Mo Qingyun was instantly stunned. He couldn't help but secretly exclaim that this guy was really rich. In addition, Song Jian's Qinkuan bag also contained over 10,000 of those strange stones from before. Over 10,000? Mo Qingyun revealed a shocked expression as he carefully put away the strange stones. He sighed with emotion. It seems that Song Jian really found quite a few treasures in the Heaven's Spirit Tomb. After storing these strange stones, Mo Qingyun separated the martial arts manuals and the pills, and began to check the other materials. Mo Qingyun's eyes lit up when he saw a multicolored stone after he took stock of the items. This was the 5-colored heaven repairing stone. He didn't expect that Song Jian's Qinkuan bag would actually have a 5-colored heaven repairing stone. This was really an unexpected gain. With this 5-colored heaven repairing stone, Baldy's injuries can be cured. Looking at the fist-sized 5-colored heaven repairing stone, Mo Qingyun happily put it away and continued to check the other items. Chi. At this moment, when Mo Qingyun was checking the other items, a shocking burning power was emitted from a fingernail-sized blood-colored crystal. Under this burning power, Mo Qingyun's fingers were immediately burned yellow and the skin on the surface was directly burned to death. What a terrifying flame power! Looking at the blood-colored crystal in front of him, Mo Qingyun was shocked. He was shocked by the burning power of this blood-colored crystal. His current physical strength had already reached the level of a mid-grade spiritual weapon. Just by touching it, his skin was burned to death. This showed how terrifying the burning power of this blood-colored crystal was. If an ordinary half-venerable realm expert was burned by this strange blood-colored crystal, he would probably lose half of his arm. After calming down the shock in his heart, Mo Qingyun released a wisp of origin energy and carefully lifted the blood-colored crystal to observe it carefully. After observing it for a while, Mo Qingyun frowned slightly and vaguely guessed the origin of this crystal. Then, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated. He raised his hand and formed a hand seal, then pointed at the blood-colored crystal. Under Mo Qingyun's hand seal, the blood-colored crystal suddenly shone brightly and emitted a stronger heat wave. Chirp! A bird's cry came out from the blood-colored crystal. Then, a flaming figure flew out from the blood-colored crystal and emitted a destructive aura. This was the shadow of the primordial divine beast, the phoenix. After seeing the phoenix shadow before him, Mo Qingyun's guess was confirmed. He knew what this blood-colored crystal was. Nirvana blood essence. It was formed from the blood essence of the phoenix when it was reborn. It was extremely rare and precious. Nirvana blood essence. I didn't expect that Song Jian would actually have a Nirvana blood essence. After knowing the origin of the blood-colored crystal, Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised. He smiled faintly and said, with the help of this Nirvana blood essence, even if Baldi's treasure elephant small world is destroyed, it can still be reborn. After Mo Qingyun found the Nirvana blood essence, Mo Qingyun didn't find any precious items. The remaining items were all ordinary materials. However, Mo Qingyun didn't feel dissatisfied with this. After all, his harvest this time was already enough. Since I've finished counting the spoils of war, it's time to return. After putting away the items in front of him, Mo Qingyun happily stood up and left the five-directional pagoda. Apart from letting Li He escape, the trip to the Heavenly Spirit Tomb was very successful. After leaving the Heavenly Spirit Tomb, Mo Qingyun directly headed to the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain to treat Sovereign Tai-Tu's injuries. After all, the Treasure Elephant Small World's injuries were very important. If he wasn't careful, it could affect his later cultivation. After that, Mo Qingyun's clone took his place and entered the five-directional pagoda to cultivate. Now that his laws of fire had reached perfection, Mo Qingyun tried to comprehend other laws. In order to better cultivate the celestial raging flame technique, Mo Qingyun chose to comprehend the laws of water first. Since Mo Qingyun didn't comprehend the laws of water in his previous life, it was clearly much harder for him to comprehend the laws of water than the laws of fire. 3 months later in the five-directional pagoda. During these 3 months, although Mo Qingyun wholeheartedly comprehended the laws of water, he still didn't make any progress. Looks like it's not easy to comprehend the power of law before reaching the sovereign stage. Seeing that there was no progress after several months, Mo Qingyun couldn't help but sigh. He understood the difficulty of comprehending a new law. This sovereign has already reached the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. Chapter 1073. He's already here? Mo Qingyun was stunned when he received the message from his clone. He shook his head and sighed. It looks like I'll have to wait until I have time to comprehend the laws of water. Mo Qingyun muttered to himself before leaving the five-directional pagoda in a flash. Mo Qingyun put his clone back into the five-directional pagoda and made his way into the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. Senior Mo. The disciples of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain were extremely familiar with Emo Qingyun by now. They all bowed when they saw Emo Qingyun approach. Emo Qingyun nodded in response. Emo Qingyun didn't waste any time after entering the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. He headed straight for Supremacy Su Chao's residence. When Emo Qingyun arrived at Supremacy Su Chao's residence, Qi Lian, He Xian, and the Iron Wing just so happened to be there. They were discussing some matters with Supremacy Su Chao. Everyone's here. Looking at He Xian and the others in front of him, Emo Qingyun greeted them with a faint smile and quickly walked up to them. Qingyun's back. Young lord. You're back. Master. He Xian and the others were pleasantly surprised when they saw Emo Qingyun approach. They all greeted Emo Qingyun. Everyone, take a seat. Emo Qingyun spread his hands with a faint smile when he saw everyone's reaction, indicating that they didn't need to stand. Master, why did you take almost 2 years to hunt down Song Jian? Supremacy Su Chao asked Emo Qingyun curiously after he sat down. He Xian and the others were also curious when they heard Supremacy Su Chao's question. They waited for Emo Qingyun's reply. It was originally going quite smoothly, but then something happened. Song Jian actually entered the Heaven's Spirit Tomb. When he heard Exalt Su Chao's question, Emo Qingyun spoke helplessly. Later on, I entered the Heaven's Spirit Tomb as well. However, not only was I unable to find Song Jian, I was even besieged by Li He and the others. I had no choice but to enter a secret realm, and I stayed there for over a year. Next, Emo Qingyun gave a simple account of his experience in the Heaven's Spirit Tomb. Heaven's Spirit Tomb? Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, the expressions of utmost exalted Su Chao and the others all turned serious. They revealed intense worry. They had heard of the dangers of the Heaven's Spirit Tomb, but they didn't expect that Emo Qingyun had entered the tomb after not returning for 2 years. Moreover, he was being chased by Li He and the other two in the Heaven's Spirit Tomb. This was truly dangerous. However, when he heard that Emo Qingyun had killed Yi Feiyang, Yang Yunfan, and Song Jian, Exalt Su Chao was extremely shocked. Yi Feiyang and Yang Yunfan were both late-stage exalted experts. Who would have thought that Emo Qingyun would still be able to kill them? From this, one could see just how shocking Emo Qingyun's battle prowess was. After telling everyone about the Heaven's Spirit Tomb, Emo Qingyun revealed a confused expression. He asked, Su Chao, what happened to your martial uncle Tai Tu? Martial uncle Tai Tu, he. When he heard Emo Qingyun's words, Exalt Su Chao's expression immediately changed. He revealed a troubled expression. Not only did Exalt Su Chao look troubled, but He Xian and the others also had heavy expressions. They didn't know how to explain it to Emo Qingyun. They really couldn't tell Emo Qingyun that Exalt Tai Tu's small world had shattered. After all, this matter was a little too serious. With Emo Qingyun's insight, he could naturally guess that something bad had happened when he saw Exalt Su Chao's reaction. Something had happened to Exalt Tai Tu. What did Tai Tu say? Hurry up and take me to see him. When he guessed that something had happened to Exalt Tai Tu, Emo Qingyun didn't hesitate any longer. He immediately stood up from the stone bench. Understood. Exalt Su Chao nodded when he heard Emo Qingyun's orders. He led Emo Qingyun over to see Exalt Tai Tu. Following that, the crowd and Emo Qingyun headed to Ironhead Exalted's residence. Soon, Emo Qingyun arrived outside Exalt Tai Tu's room. He pushed open the door and walked in, only to see Exalt Tai Tu lying on the bed. There's no aura of ki at all. Could it be? When he couldn't sense Exalt Tai Tu's ki, Emo Qingyun's expression changed drastically. He guessed the worst possible outcome. From the looks of it, Exalt Tai Tu's small world had most likely collapsed. As soon as this thought crossed his mind, Emo Qingyun walked up to Exalt Tai Tu and raised his hand to check on him. After some investigation, Emo Qingyun became silent. His complexion became very ugly as he said in a cold voice, "Su Chao, tell me honestly, what the hell happened? How did Tai Tu's small world shatter?" "Understood." Exalt Su Chao nodded. He no longer hid anything from Mo Qingyun. He told him everything that had happened. Mo Qingyun's expression turned even uglier when he heard Exalt Su Chao's story. A strong murderous intent erupted from his body. He roared furiously, "Li He, how dare you collude with the demons? If I see you again, I'll tear you to pieces." "Gu Qingyun, those demons are very strong. Furthermore, there might be someone even stronger backing them. You can't go looking for them recklessly." Exalt Tai Tu smiled sadly when he saw Mo Qingyun's furious expression. He tried to persuade Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun's expression improved slightly when he heard Exalt Tai Tu's words. He comforted him, "Tai Tu, don't worry. Not only did I find the 5-colored Skyman stone in the Heaven Spirit tomb, but I also found a piece of Nirvana blood essence. Once I refine the Nirvana Skymend pill, you'll be able to reconstruct your small world." The Nirvana Skymend pill. Exalt Tai Tu's eyes immediately lit up when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. His face was filled with intense anticipation. It seemed like he didn't want to spend the rest of his life lying on a bed like a cripple. "All right, get some rest. I'll go refine the Nirvana Skymend pill right now." Mo Qingyun walked out of the room after comforting Exalt Tai Tu. He didn't want to disturb Tai Tu's rest. When Mo Qingyun walked out of the room, He Xian and the others followed as well. They all left Tai Tu's room. When Mo Qingyun saw He Xian and the others follow him, he took out the strange stones and asked, "Senior He Xian, do you know the origins of these strange stones? Immortal stones?" He Xian and Iron Wing's expressions changed when they saw the stones in Mo Qingyun's hand. They were both surprised. Clearly, the two of them were extremely surprised that Mo Qingyun possessed immortal stones. Immortal stones? Mo Qingyun was surprised when he heard this. He looked at He Xian expectantly, waiting for him to clear up his doubts. Seeing Mo Qingyun's expectant expression, He Xian didn't beat around the bush, and went straight to the point. Immortal stones are a type of spirit stone used for cultivation on the Wildlands continent, just like elemental spirit stones on the Tianhan continent. However, you being able to obtain immortal stones on the Tianhan continent is beyond my expectations. So it's the same as elemental spirit stones, a cultivation spirit stone found on the Wildlands continent. It looks like it's just a very common item on the Wildlands continent. Mo Qingyun couldn't help but feel disappointed when he heard the history of the stones. After all this time, it turned out that the stones were worthless. Chapter 1074. Mo Qingyun was a little disappointed to learn that the immortal stone wasn't precious, but he still carefully put it away. Immortal stones weren't precious, but they could be used as starting capital when he entered the Wastelands continent. There are a few spirit weapons here. Everyone, come and take a look. Pick one that suits you. Mo Qingyun took out all the spirit weapons he'd obtained, allowing Qi Lian and the others to choose. Everyone's cultivation had increased by leaps and bounds. The weapons they'd used before couldn't keep up with the pace anymore. Of course, Mo Qingyun didn't take out the 3 broken king weapons. First, they were completely broken. They couldn't even compare to mid-grade spirit weapons. Secondly, there was probably no one in the Tianhan continent who had the ability to repair it. Thus, Mo Qingyun decided to leave them for the immortal immolation war halberd to devour and raise its grade. Clang clang clang, over 1,000 spiritual artifact weapons appeared. Immediately, the sound of weapons clashing could be heard, giving off a shockingly sharp aura. Looking at the thousands of spirit weapons before them, Supreme Zancho and the others were completely flabbergasted. They were completely flabbergasted by the sight before them. It wasn't just Supreme Su Chao and the others who were shocked. Tai Yi and He Xian were shocked as well. They were extremely surprised by Mo Qingyun's actions. Though they'd seen immortal weapons before, this was the first time they'd seen so many spirit weapons on the Tianhun continent. Master, you didn't rob the Celestial Soldier Sacred Mountain, did you? There probably aren't that many spirit weapons in the entire Celestial Soldier Sacred Mountain. Supremacy Sunrise and Qin Yongjun smiled wryly at the sight of over 1,000 spirit weapons. They were completely convinced by Mo Qingyun. Ha! Mo Qingyun only smiled faintly in response to the two of them. He did not provide any explanation. He said indifferently, "Pick out some of the intact spiritual artifacts and distribute them to the elders of the sect with advanced abilities or higher. I have other uses for the remaining damaged spiritual artifacts later." Alright. Everyone nodded and began to choose their spiritual tools. In the end, Iron Wing chose an Eagle Claw high-grade spirit artifact, Hei Xian chose a top-grade spear, and Qi Lian chose a top-grade spirit artifact, Blood Bead. Supreme Su Chao didn't choose one for himself, because he already had a high-grade spirit artifact, a folding fan. As for Qin Yongjun, after a round of selection, she chose a crescent blade, which was a high-grade spirit weapon. After everyone was done choosing their weapons, Qi Lian and Supreme Su Chao picked out some weapons for the elders of their respective factions. In the end, Qi Lian and Supreme Su Chao picked out a total of 536 undamaged spiritual artifacts and distributed them to the elders of the sect. The remaining 1,000 broken spiritual weapons were collected by Mo Qingyun again, ready to be devoured by the immortal burning halberd later. Qi Lian, this cosmos sack contains the corpses of Yi Feiyang, Yang Yunfan, and Song Jian. Take it. After distributing the spiritual weapons, Mo Qingyun took out a cosmos sack and handed it to Qi Lian. Thank you, young lord. Qi Lian was overjoyed when he received the cosmos sack from Mo Qingyun. His eyes flickered with a hint of bloodlust. Even though his cultivation had reached the Nine Heavens Supreme Realm, he was no longer able to achieve a breakthrough by refining enough blood essence like before. However, Yang Yunfan and the others were Nine Heavens Supremes in the intermediate and late-stage Nine Heavens Supreme Realm. He would still benefit greatly from refining their corpses. Seeing that everything was settled, Mo Qingyun did not delay any further. He asked Supreme Su Chao to prepare a quiet secret room for him to refine the Nirvana Sky-Mending Pill. A moment later, Mo Qingyun arrived at the secret room that Supreme Su Chao had prepared for him. He asked Supreme Su Chao, Qin Yongjun, Qiu Yi, and the others to stay in the secret room. The Nirvana Sky-Mending Pill was an honorable grade pill. It was extremely difficult to gather the ingredients to refine it. Under normal circumstances, it would be difficult to refine it even once. Now that there was such an opportunity, Mo Qingyun naturally wanted to let Supreme Su Chao and the others observe the process of refining the honorable grade pill. However, refining the Nirvana Sky-Mending Pill was extremely difficult. Mo Qingyun did not dare to be distracted and explain it to them one by one during the refining process. He had no choice. Even though Mo Qingyun was a pill venerate in his previous life, he was not confident that he could refine every single honorable grade pill. In particular, he had only heard of a heaven-defying pill like the Nirvana Sky-Mending Pill in his previous life. He had never refined it before. Dong. Mo Qingyun took out the sacred beast cauldron. It landed on the ground with a loud thud. Following this, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate any longer. He directly inserted the martial spirit fire into it. After inserting the martial spirit fire into the sacred beast cauldron, Mo Qingyun placed the ingredients one by one into the sacred beast cauldron to refine them. The difficulty of refining the honorable grade pill was undoubtedly much greater. Under the refining of the martial spirit fire, there was almost no change. Law of fire, scorching heat. Seeing the scene before him, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate any longer. He immediately activated the scorching heat characteristic of the law of fire and added it to the martial spirit fire. Since he wanted to refine the ingredients and not burn them, Mo Qingyun chose the scorching heat characteristic of the law of fire. Under the enhancement of the scorching heat characteristic, the temperature of the martial spirit fire continued to rise, and the refining efficiency immediately increased by a lot. Gradually, the ingredients in the sacred beast cauldron melted into a green liquid bit by bit, emitting a pure medicinal energy. As for the impurities contained in the ingredients, they turned into wisps of black smoke and evaporated under the refining of the martial spirit's power. After a while, seeing that the ingredients in the sacred beast cauldron were almost refined, Mo Qingyun placed the 5-colored sky restoration stone and the nirvana blood essence into the sacred beast cauldron. After the 5-colored sky restoration stone was placed into the sacred beast cauldron, it turned into a ball of 5-colored light and wrapped around the ingredients. As for the nirvana blood essence, it turned into the shadow of a phoenix and flew into the green liquid, using the liquid as its nest. Following that, the nirvana blood essence began to burn itself, completely turning into a ball of flame, as if a phoenix was being reborn. As the nirvana blood essence burned, the energy contained within it seeped into the liquid bit by bit. Not only that, when the nirvana blood essence burned, the 5-colored sky restoration stone also melted bit by bit, merging with the green liquid. This process continued for several hours before it slowly came to a stop. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and began to compress the liquid, condense it, and form it into a pill. Whoosh! A ray of 5-colored light suddenly bloomed from the sacred beast cauldron and shot into the sky, turning into a beautiful and illusory scene. An elixir image had appeared. One could only see a giant flaming bird with a body of 10,000 feet flying in the sky that had a hole in it. Finally, it turned into a giant flaming rock and filled the hole in the sky. It's done. Seeing the elixir image appear, Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised. He took out the nirvana heavenly elixir from the sacred beast cauldron. Following that, a flaming elixir with 5-colored light circulating around it flew into Mo Qingyun's hand. Chapter 1075. It's a success. Master did it. Uncle Master Tai too can be saved. So this is a supreme grade pill. What terrifying medicinal energy! With this nirvana sky-mending pill, Uncle Master Tai 2's precious elephant's small world can be restored. If alchemist Yueqing knows that Master refined the nirvana sky-mending pill with his cultivation at the half-venerable realm, he will definitely be shocked. Supreme Su Chao and the others were pleasantly surprised when they saw the nirvana sky-mending pill in front of them. They spoke excitedly. Alright, I'll give the nirvana sky-mending pill to Tai 2 first. The rest of you stay here and carefully recall the process of refining the pill. Mo Qingyun said to Autarch Su Chao and the others, then stood up and walked out of the secret room. He had Autarch Su Chao and the others remain in the secret room and reflect on his alchemy techniques and technique. Supreme Su Chao and the others didn't hesitate at all when they heard Mo Qingyun's instructions. They immediately immersed themselves in their memories and comprehension. After leaving the secret room, Mo Qingyun went straight to Tai 2's residence. He pushed open the door and entered. Perhaps because he knew that there was hope for his precious elephant small world to be restored, Tai 2's complexion was quite good today. He gave off a refreshing feeling. This should be what people often said. People were in high spirits when faced with happy events. Qingyun, you're here. How's the pill refining? Tai 2 asked eagerly when he saw Mo Qingyun approaching. He had an expectant look on his face. As soon as Iron Head Supremacy finished speaking, an expectant look appeared in his eyes. His expression tensed up. Mo Qingyun's answer would determine whether or not his precious elephant small world could be restored. Seeing Tai 2's expression, Mo Qingyun didn't keep him in suspense. He smiled faintly and said, "My luck is not bad. The refining was a success." It was a success. Tai 2's face flushed red when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. He was extremely excited. The Nirvana sky-mending pill had been successfully refined. His precious elephant small world could be restored. This jade bottle contains the Nirvana sky-mending pill. Consume it now. I will protect you from the side. Mo Qingyun took out a jade bottle and handed it to Supreme Tai Tu. He then sat down beside Supreme Tai Tu. All right. Ironhead nodded heavily as he looked at Mo Qingyun's jade bottle. He didn't say anything to Mo Qingyun. At this moment, his expression had completely expressed his gratitude. Nothing needed to be said. After the Nirvana sky-mending pill was taken out by Supreme Exalt Tai Tu, it immediately blossomed with dazzling 5-colored light and emanated an astonishing wave of medicinal origin energy. What astonishing medicinal elemental energy! Supreme Ironhead said in shock as he looked at the Nirvana Skymender pill in his hand. Then, he swallowed it. When the Nirvana Heavenly Mending pill entered his stomach, it emitted a shocking heat wave that instantly filled Tai Tu Supreme's meridians. Supreme Tai Tu couldn't help but cry out miserably under the impact of the medicinal elemental energy. His face turned purplish-black, as if he was enduring great pain. Mo Qingyun frowned slightly when he saw Supreme Tai Tu's reaction. He became nervous and thought to himself, the medicinal elemental energy of the Nirvana Skymender pill is too strong. Tai Tu's body won't be able to withstand it. I have to help him stabilize the medicinal elemental energy. With that thought, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated. He sent a strand of energy into Supreme Tai Tu's body. When Mo Qingyun's energy entered Supreme Tai Tu's body, it was immediately impacted by the domineering medicinal elemental energy. It was like being rammed by an army of thousands. Given how domineering the medicinal elemental energy was, a weaker transcendent powerhouse would probably explode and die instantly if they were hit by it. One could imagine how great the impact was on Supreme Tai Tu's meridians and how resplendent they were. Fortunately, Supreme Tai Tu was a body-tempering cultivator. His physique was far superior to ordinary cultivators. If it was an ordinary transcendent powerhouse, their meridians would probably have been destroyed by the medicinal elemental energy. When he saw this, Mo Qingyun didn't dare delay any longer. He immediately controlled his energy to suppress the medicinal elemental energy. Under the suppression of Mo Qingyun's energy, the domineering medicinal elemental energy in Supreme Tai Tu's body was immediately alleviated. However, it was still unbearable for ordinary people. When the medicinal elemental energy stabilized under the suppression of Mo Qingyun's energy, Supreme Tai Tu's pain lessened significantly. He was able to avoid the danger of his body exploding and dying. However, Mo Qingyun didn't relax. He continued to suppress the medicinal elemental energy while helping Supreme Tai Tu tidy up the flow of the medicinal elemental energy. Fortunately, Mo Qingyun's spiritual power was strong. If it was someone else doing this, they would probably die from the exhaustion of their spiritual power. As the saying went, it was better to let it out than to block it. Thanks to Mo Qingyun's arrangement, the medicinal origin energy in Tai Tu's body gradually stabilized. As the medicinal elemental energy in his body stabilized, Ironhead began to circulate it within his body, refining and absorbing it bit by bit. As he continued to refine and absorb the medicinal energy within his body, Prime Ironhead's aura began to rise, slowly returning to his peak state. At the same time, Paragon Ironhead also began to reconstruct the Treasure Elephant's small world. First, he condensed the Heavenly Dipper diagram, then he condensed the Divine Ability Treasure Elephant and fused it with the power of laws. Mo Qingyun relaxed as he watched Ironhead Prime remodel the elephant's miniature world. He withdrew his elemental energy from Ironhead Prime's body. After that, Mo Qingyun stayed in the room for a while. When he saw that Tai Tu was completely fine, he got up and left the room. After leaving Sovereign Tai Tu's room, Emo Qingyun remembered that Huang Guan and the others were still on the Fortune mainland. Hence, he decided to move them to the Heavenly Soul mainland. Huang Guan, I'm going to move all of you to the Heavenly Soul mainland. Do not resist. Emo Qingyun sent a transmission to Huang Guan, explaining some things that they needed to pay attention to. He added, also, I don't know if the Devil Suppression Abyss's formation will still affect you. Find someone to test it out. Yes. Huang Guan respectfully replied and arranged for a death row prisoner to be tested. Then, Emo Qingyun moved this death row prisoner out of the Fortune mainland. In the next second, a death row prisoner appeared in front of Emo Qingyun. There was shock, confusion, and excitement on his face. Emo Qingyun's expression relaxed when he saw that the death row prisoner didn't explode immediately. He thought to himself, it seems like the Devil Suppression Abyss's formation has a distance requirement on Huang Guan and the others. It won't be effective beyond the range of the formation. However, for safety's sake, Emo Qingyun didn't move Huang Guan and the others out immediately. Instead, he continued to observe the death row prisoner's condition. Several hours later, when Emo Qingyun saw that Huang Guan was safe and sound, his heart was finally at ease. He moved Huang Guan and the others out of the Fortune mainland. When Huang Guan and the others came out of the Fortune mainland, Supreme Su Chao and the others immediately sensed their auras and rushed over. When Qin Yongjun saw that it was Huang Guan and the others, she introduced them to Supreme Su Chao and the others. Chapter 1076. Qilian, make a trip back to the Qingyun Palace immediately and bring 50,000 eye demons over. After settling Huang Guan and the rest, Emo Qingyun turned to look at Qilian and instructed him. His expression gradually turned cold as he said, there are some debts that should be settled. Settled debts? Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Qilian was slightly stunned for a moment before he understood Emo Qingyun's thoughts. Emo Qingyun was planning to start with the 3 great sacred mountains. Yes. After understanding Emo Qingyun's thoughts, Qilian did not stay any longer and immediately set off to leave the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. After Qilian left, Emo Qingyun conversed with the rest for a while before returning to his room. Oh right, Huang Guan comprehended the law of water. Perhaps I can get a breakthrough in comprehending the law of water from him. When he was heading to his residence, Emo Qingyun's eyes suddenly lit up as he thought of a way to comprehend the law of water. After this idea came to mind, Emo Qingyun sent a soul transmission to Huang Guan, asking him to come see him after he settled down. Master, your subordinate requests an audience. Several hours later, Huang Guan's voice came from outside the room. Seeing this, Emo Qingyun waved his hand and opened the door to let Huang Guan in. Huang Guan, now that my law of fire has reached perfection, I'm preparing to comprehend the law of water. Share your cultivation of the law of water with me. Seeing Huang Guan enter the room, Emo Qingyun did not beat around the bush and directly instructed him. The law of fire has reached perfection? Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Huang Guan's expression immediately twitched and his head buzzed. He clearly remembered that when Emo Qingyun was in the mysterious Yin sect, the law of water did not seem to have reached perfection. Now that only 2 years had passed, Emo Qingyun's law of fire had reached perfection. This speed of improvement was too frightening. Following this, Huang Guan saw Emo Qingyun's gaze and became even more impressed and respectful. After sorting out his emotions a little, Huang Guan shared his comprehension of the law of water with Emo Qingyun without missing a single detail. After hearing Huang Guan share his cultivation experience, Emo Qingyun immediately had a new understanding of the law of water. It turned out that the law of water also had 3 characteristics: healing, ice, and flexibility. The healing characteristic corresponded to recovery, the flexibility characteristic corresponded to defense, and the ice characteristic corresponded to attack. Huang Guan comprehended the ice characteristic of the law of water. Next, he explained the ice characteristic of the law of water to Mo Qingyun in detail. After listening to Huang Guan's explanation, Mo Qingyun had a clear direction in his understanding of the ice attribute of the law of water. A few days later, Huang Guan stopped his narration and said with an ashamed expression, "Master, this subordinate's aptitude is inferior. That's all I've comprehended about the laws of water. And it's been hard on you these past few days. You can leave first." After hearing Huang Guan's words, Mo Qingyun did not ask him to stay any longer and waved his hand to let him leave. The direction of my comprehension was indeed wrong. After Huang Guan left the room, Mo Qingyun had a look of realization. He muttered to himself, "I originally thought that the law of water could be divided into 6 types: purification, moisturizing, healing, hardness, flexibility, and ice. I didn't expect the law of water to only have 3 characteristics. So purification and moisturizing are both healing characteristics, while hardness belongs to the ice characteristic. The only matching characteristic is flexibility." Recalling Huang Guan's explanation and matching it with his own comprehension, Mo Qingyun realized that he had made too many mistakes. Now that he had the correct cultivation direction, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated. He flashed into the 5-directional small pagoda and continued to comprehend the law of water. Huang Guan comprehended the ice characteristic. I also need to comprehend the ice characteristic when I cultivate the second style of the Celestial Fury technique, Prairie Fire. This allows me to take a shortcut. After thinking about this, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly. He did not dare to delay and immediately immersed himself in cultivation. Although Huang Guan's comprehension of the ice characteristic was only at the initial stage, with his guidance, Mo Qingyun's cultivation speed immediately doubled with half the effort. Therefore, if one wished to have a faster cultivation speed and walk further on the path of cultivation, having a great teacher was very crucial. The reason why Mo Qingyun was able to become a person at the top of the pyramid in the Tianhun continent in this period of time was inseparable from his previous life's cultivation experience. With the correct cultivation direction, the results of his cultivation were immediately apparent. After a short while, a shocking chill spread out from Mo Qingyun's body and spread into the 5-directional small pagoda. Under the influence of this chill, the area several kilometers around Mo Qingyun was quickly covered in a layer of frost. Not only that, but as time passed, the area covered by the frost became wider and wider, and the temperature it emitted became lower and lower. -9,000 degrees, -10,000 degrees, -20,000 degrees, -59,000 degrees, -60,000 degrees. After an indeterminate amount of time, Mo Qingyun's comprehension of the ice characteristic of the law of water began to slow down. After this discovery, Mo Qingyun opened his eyes and withdrew from his cultivation. He muttered to himself, "I've completely comprehended Huang Guan's cultivation experience. From now on, I'll have to rely on my own comprehension." Seeing that Huang Guan had completely comprehended his cultivation experience, Mo Qingyun couldn't help but sigh inwardly. He knew that it would be impossible for him to increase his cultivation speed as quickly as before. "Young lord, your subordinate is here." Just as Mo Qingyun was sighing inwardly, Qi Lian's voice rang out in his mind. "He's already here." When he heard Qi Lian's voice, Mo Qingyun's face lit up. A brilliant smile appeared on his face. "If that's the case, then it's time to go settle accounts with the 3 divine mountains." Following that, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and left the 5-direction pagoda. After exiting the 5-direction pagoda, Mo Qingyun opened the door and walked out. He saw Qi Lian and the others waiting outside. Qi Lian and the others weren't the only ones present. Even Tai Tu was standing outside. Based on Tai Tu's current appearance, his precious elephant's small world had most likely recovered. Moreover, his aura seemed to have become more restrained. Tai Tu's aura seems to have grown stronger. When he sensed Tai Tu's aura, Emo Qingyun frowned slightly. He curiously sensed Tai Tu's cultivation level. Late-stage supremacy? When he sensed Tai Tu's cultivation level, Emo Qingyun couldn't help but be shocked. Tai Tu's cultivation level had actually broken through to the late-stage supremacy. He smiled faintly and said, "Congratulations, Tai Tu. I didn't expect you to profit from this disaster and advance your cultivation level. Haha, speaking of which, it's all thanks to you." Tai Tu chuckled happily when he heard Emo Qingyun's words. He said, "I didn't expect that I would enter a very mysterious state after the reconstruction of my treasure elephant's world. It's like I've gone through a reincarnation cycle. In that mysterious state, the power of my laws of earth has reached perfection." Chapter 1077. Hee, it's his own fortune. It has nothing to do with the nirvanic Skymender pill I refined. Emo Qingyun smiled faintly from Sovereign Tai Tu's explanation. He felt happy for him. Before Emo Qingyun's previous life, Sovereign Tai Tu was a mid-sovereign. He had been stuck there for many years, unable to break through. He had never thought that his cultivation would progress further after the destruction and rebirth of the elephant's miniature world while he was heavily injured. It was just as Emo Qingyun had said. His fortune had arrived. Alright, since Qilian is here, let's go settle our accounts with the three divine mountains. Emo Qingyun was happy for Sovereign Tai Tu. He did not want to waste any more time, so he prepared to deal with the three divine mountains immediately. Sovereign Tai Tu and the others became anxious when they heard Emo Qingyun's words. They became extremely excited. The moment had finally arrived. He could finally get his revenge for all the pain the three divine mountains had brought him. Emo Qingyun glanced at the excited group before looking at Qilian. He asked, "Qilian, where's Devil right now? Take me there immediately. I want to store them in the 5 directional pagodas first." "Young lord, I've told Devil to stay in a valley near the Divine Pool Mountain to avoid causing any disturbances," Qilian replied politely. He turned around and flew out of the Divine Pool Mountain. He said, "Young lord, please come with me. I'll take you there right now." "Alright." Emo Qingyun nodded when he saw what Qilian had done. He said to the others, "Let's go together." Afterwards, Emo Qingyun and the others left the Divine Pool Mountain and made their way to where Devil was hiding. Just like Qilian had said, Devil's hiding place was not far away. They arrived at the valley in just a few seconds. As they approached the valley, Emo Qingyun sensed shocking presences coming from the valley. The presences ranged from basic, intermediate, and advanced abilities. There were even a few half-step exalt. "Greetings, ruler." The Devils immediately prostrated themselves on the ground and bowed towards Emo Qingyun when they saw Emo Qingyun arrive. No need for formalities. Emo Qingyun waved his hand indifferently when he saw the Devil's actions. Afterwards, he stored them away in the 5 directional pagodas. The reason why Emo Qingyun had kept Demon in the 5 directional pagoda was to prevent her from causing too much of a commotion. If the people from the 3 sacred mountains noticed something was wrong, they would abandon the 3 sacred mountains and flee. The Divine Beast Mountain is closest to the Divine Pool Mountain, so let's go there first. After keeping all the demons into the 5 directional pagodas, Emo Qingyun said to everyone and flew towards the Divine Beast Mountain. When they saw Emo Qingyun flying towards the Divine Beast Mountain, Qilian and the others didn't hesitate and hurriedly followed closely behind. 3 days later, with Emo Qingyun and the others flying at full speed, they arrived at the entrance of the Divine Beast Mountain. "Stop. This is the Divine Beast Mountain. You can't enter as you please." The disciples guarding the divine beast mountain immediately reprimanded Mo Qingyun and the others when they saw Mo Qingyun and the others. "You're asking for it." Qi Lian's face darkened when he heard the disciples' words. He raised his hand and blasted the disciple into dust. "How dare you behave so atrociously in the divine beast mountain? You must be tired of living." Seeing Qi Lian's actions, the other disciples guarding the mountain were enraged and shouted at Qi Lian. Not only that, but when they shouted at Qi Lian, they also reported to the divine beast mountain that someone had come to invade the divine beast mountain. Not long after, several auras of the half-martial highness realm flew out from the godly beast mountain. The experts of the divine beast mountain had arrived. In addition, there were 2 supremes behind these people. There were also supremes in the imperial beast sacred mountain. This situation surprised Mo Qingyun. He did not expect the divine beast mountain to be so well hidden. Other than Yang Yunfan, there were 2 other supremes in the mountain. Of course, with Mo Qingyun's current strength, he was only slightly surprised. He did not feel too emotional. Soon, the people from the divine beast mountain arrived near Mo Qingyun and the others and confronted Mo Qingyun and the others. "Kid, who are you people? How dare you behave atrociously here? Do you know where you are?" When the group from the imperial beast sacred mountain arrived, a 7th-level divinity realm youth at the front yelled at Mo Qingyun. "Yang Weiren." Looking at the young man, Mo Qingyun frowned slightly. He had some impression of him. He was Yang Yunfan's only son. He did not expect him to reach the divine beast realm in just a few decades. You know me?" Seeing that Mo Qingyun recognized him, Yang Weiren's expression changed slightly. His eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. After a brief moment of surprise, Yang Weiren revealed an arrogant expression. He raised his head and said to Mo Qingyun, "Kid, since you know who I am, you should know the consequences of offending me. Today, this young lord is in a good mood, so I will give you a chance to live. Kneel down and bark like a dog 3 times, then crawl away like a dog, and this young lord will spare your lives." Hearing Yang Weiren's words, Qi Lian and the others laughed. Their eyes were filled with sympathy and mockery. This Yang Weiren was really an idiot. He didn't even know that he was about to die. He actually dared to show off in front of Mo Qingyun. "Of course I know who you are. The only son of the divine beast mountain's sovereign beast, Yang Yunfan, right?" Hearing Yang Weiren's words, Mo Qingyun smiled mockingly. His expression turned cold as he said, "But today, I came to the divine beast mountain to find you. I want to send you to accompany Yang Yunfan so that he won't be lonely down there." Mo Qingyun's words stunned Yang Weiren and the others. They did not understand what Mo Qingyun meant. From what Mo Qingyun said, he seemed to have come to kill Yang Weiren. Moreover, he seemed to have killed Yang Yunfan. But was that possible? After a brief moment of shock, Yang Weiren shook his head. He did not believe Mo Qingyun's words. "Haha, did you hear that? He said that he killed my father, and that he wants to send me to accompany my father?" Yang Weiren opened his mouth and laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke. He did not believe Mo Qingyun's words at all. After a few laughs, Yang Weiren's expression turned cold. He looked at Mo Qingyun and said coldly, "Kid, do you know what my father's cultivation is? He's a late-stage supreme being? I'm afraid you haven't even seen a supreme being in your life." Chapter 1078. Yes, young mountain master. Upon hearing Yang Weiren's command, the 2 early-stage supreme beings, supreme elders of the imperial beast sacred mountain, released their auras and suppressed Mo Qingyun. Under the pressure of the 2 supreme beings' auras, the space around Mo Qingyun began to tremble, as if it couldn't withstand the pressure of the 2 supreme beings' auras. Yang Weiren immediately revealed a complacent smile when he saw the reactions of the 2 exalted realm experts, and he raised his head to look at Mo Qingyun and said, "Kid, Now you know how formidable Exalted Realm experts are, right? Yo. Why aren't you saying anything? Aren't you able to kill a late-stage Supreme Being? How dare you? While Yang Weiren was beaming with pride, He Xian and Iron Wing roared and grabbed the two Supreme Beings, Supreme Elders of the Imperial Beast, Sacred Mountain. Then, the two Supreme Beings, Supreme Elders of the Imperial Beast, Sacred Mountain, were captured by He Xian and Iron Wing without any resistance. After capturing the two Supreme Beings, Supreme Elders of the Imperial Beast, Sacred Mountain, He Xian and Iron Wing didn't hesitate and grabbed their heads. Crack crack, a series of bone-cracking sounds rang out. The heads of the two Supreme Beings, Supreme Elders of the Imperial Beast, Sacred Mountain, were instantly crushed by He Xian and Iron Wing. Then, the bodies of the two Supreme Elders of the Imperial Beast, Sacred Mountain went limp, and the aura on their bodies instantly disappeared. Seeing this scene, the smile on Yang Weiren's face froze. His eyes widened as he stood rooted to the ground. Dead. Two Supreme Beings, Supreme Elders were killed just like that. Furthermore, the two utmost exalted level Supreme Elders were completely unable to resist the attacks of those two people. Didn't this mean that the two of them were far stronger than the two Supreme Elders? They might have reached the mid-stage Supreme Being, or even the late-stage Supreme Being. When Yang Weiren thought of this, his face turned pale, and his expression was filled with fear. At this moment, he couldn't help but feel uneasy. His father might really have been killed by Mo Qingyun. The people in front of him were not country bumpkins who had come to the Imperial Beast, Sacred Mountain to see the world. They were terrifyingly powerful experts. Get over here. Mo Qingyun, who didn't pay attention to Yang Weiren's panic, made a grabbing motion in the air. Subsequently, an enormous palm image of origin energy swiftly formed, and like an eagle catching a chick, it grabbed Yang Weiren and brought him before Mo Qingyun. You? What are you doing? Looking at Mo Qingyun in front of him, Yang Weiren was so scared that his face trembled, and he was on the verge of tears. What am I going to do? Shouldn't I be the one asking you that? Mo Qingyun smiled mockingly. He looked at Yang Weiren and shook his head. Weren't you very proud just now? Wasn't she laughing very loudly? You even wanted to show me the aura of a supreme stage expert. Why aren't you complacent now? Why aren't you smiling anymore? I can't be complacent anymore. Even a supreme stage Supreme Elder was killed by you. Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Yang Weiren instantly felt like dying. He looked as if his father had died and said sadly, and, moreover, my father is already dead. How can I still laugh? After speaking, Yang Weiren burst into tears. There was no trace of the domineering young lord of the Imperial Beast, Sacred Mountain. No matter how stupid Yang Weiren was, he knew that Mo Qingyun was telling the truth. Mo Qingyun might really have killed Yang Yunfan. Can't laugh anymore? Looking at the crying Yang Weiren in front of him, Mo Qingyun revealed a look of disdain. He raised his hand and patted Yang Weiren's face. I couldn't tell that you were so filial. Since that's the case, you can go accompany your father. Crack. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, his expression turned cold. He directly crushed Yang Weiren's skull. Yang Weiren's eyes widened when Mo Qingyun crushed his skull. He stared at Mo Qingyun in disbelief. He died with his eyes wide open. He couldn't believe that he was the young lord of the Imperial Beast Sacred Mountain, one of the 9 sacred mountains, and the son of a late-stage Supreme Stage expert. Today, he would actually die in his own sect. It was too humiliating to die in such a way. Qilian, I'll leave the rest to you. After killing Yang Weiren, Mo Qingyun ignored the others from the Imperial Beast Sacred Mountain. He summoned Bai Mo and ordered Qilian to deal with the others. Qilian had followed Mo Qingyun for many years. He didn't know how many times he had robbed along the way, so he was very familiar with this kind of thing. Yes. After receiving Mo Qingyun's instructions, Qilian gave Tai Tu and the others some instructions, then brought by Mo and killed his way into the Imperial Beast Sacred Mountain. As for He Xian and Iron Wing, they didn't make a move. Instead, they stood in the air with Mo Qingyun to prevent the Imperial Beast Sacred Mountain from escaping. Although the Imperial Beast Divine Mountain was one of the 9 great divine mountains, now that all the Supremes in the sect were dead, the remaining people were no match for Qi Lian and the others. Facing Qi Lian and the others, they were immediately slaughtered. Qi Lian and the others kept reaping their lives. Qi Lian and Tai Tu showed no mercy to the people of the Imperial Beast Sacred Mountain. The Imperial Beast Sacred Mountain had caused them so much trouble in the past. Now was the time for an eye for an eye. Let the so-called morality and righteousness go to hell. A few Supremes and 50,000 by Mo joined forces to slaughter. Soon, there was no one left alive in the Imperial Beast Sacred Mountain. After slaughtering the entire Imperial Beast Sacred Mountain, Qi Lian and the others began to divide the work. Mo collected the corpses of the people of the Imperial Beast Sacred Mountain, while Qi Lian and the others went to collect the wealth of the Imperial Beast Sacred Mountain. After a few hours, the corpses of the people of the Imperial Beast Sacred Mountain were gone. They were either collected by Mo or swallowed by the pagoda. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun kept the Mo into the 5-directional pagoda and waited for Qi Lian and the others to return. After a few more hours, Qi Lian and the others, who had gone to plunder the treasures, returned full of joy. Judging from their expressions, they must have gained a lot. Young lord, this is the wealth of the Imperial Beast Sacred Mountain. Qi Lian came to Mo Qingyun and took out a Qiankuan pouch and handed it to Mo Qingyun respectfully. Mo Qingyun took the Qiankuan pouch from Qi Lian and nodded indifferently. He did not immediately check the treasures of the Imperial Beast Sacred Mountain. Instead, he kept it in the 5-directional pagoda. After keeping the Qiankuan pouch, Mo Qingyun looked into the distance. It was the direction of the Sky Spear Sacred Mountain. Since the Imperial Beast Sacred Mountain has been eliminated, let's go to the Sky Spear Sacred Mountain. Mo Qingyun looked in the direction of the Sky Spear Sacred Mountain. His expression gradually turned cold as he spoke to the others. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he moved and flew towards the Sky Spear Sacred Mountain. Chapter 1079. 2 days later, Mo Qingyun and the rest finally arrived at Sky Spear Mystic Mountain after flying at full speed. After Mo Qingyun and the rest arrived at Sky Spear Mystic Mountain, the situation they encountered was basically similar to that of Imperial Beast Mystic Mountain. First, they were mocked and disdained by the people of Sky Spear Mystic Mountain. Then, they destroyed Sky Spear Mystic Mountain domineeringly and plundered their treasures. Come, let's go to Sky Sword Mystic Mountain. After destroying Sky Spear Mystic Mountain, Mo Qingyun didn't want to waste any more time. He immediately flew towards Sky Sword Mystic Mountain. Seeing Mo Qingyun flying towards Sky Sword Mystic Mountain, Qi Lian and the rest's expressions turned cold. Their bodies emitted intense killing intent. It was finally Li He's turn. Qi Lian vaguely remembered that Li He had chased after him for millions of miles. In the end, he was forced to use the Blood Shield secret technique and hide in a valley in northern desert town for thousands of years. He would never forget this kind of hatred. Li He, I can finally settle the grudge of the past today. Thinking that he would be able to take revenge soon, Qi Lian unconsciously clenched his fist. The veins on his arms bulged. Just as Qi Lian was making up his mind, Paragon Su Chao and the others reacted in a similar fashion. Now, there was only one person left from Sky Sword Mystic Mountain. When Mo Qingyun and the rest flew, they no longer concealed their auras. As Mo Qingyun and the rest released their auras, the beasts and cultivators that they passed by were so frightened that they knelt on the ground. They didn't dare to get up for a long time. The imposing aura of several Supreme Being experts was indeed very terrifying. 5 days later, Mo Qingyun and the rest arrived at Sky Sword Mystic Mountain. They released their auras and shrouded the entire mountain. Under the auras of Mo Qingyun and the rest, almost half of the buildings that had just been built in Sky Sword Mystic Mountain collapsed instantly. After such a commotion, Sky Sword Mystic Mountain fell into chaos. The disciples with lower cultivations all fled in panic. It didn't take long for Li He and the 3 exalted realm experts to arrive near Mo Qingyun and the others. Master, it was the 3 of them who attacked us last time. Supreme Su Chao revealed a look of hatred when he saw the 3 experts of the demon clan standing beside Li He. He whispered in Mo Qingyun's ear. Hearing Supreme Su Chao's words, Mo's face turned cold. Murderous intent burst out of his gaze towards the 3 demon clan experts. It was these 3 bastards who had caused Paragon Ironhead to self-detonate his precious elephant minor world. Therefore, he was determined to get rid of them today. Mo Qingyun, I knew you would come. Today, none of you will leave this place. Li He's Mystic Sky Sect, Li He's demon clans of the demon clans were. Seeing Li He's behavior, Mo Qingyun frowned slightly. He had a vague feeling that something was wrong. Logically speaking, with the strength of Li He and the other 3, they should be afraid and cowardly when facing such a lineup. However, looking at Li He's behavior now, it was as if he had dug a trap and was waiting for them to jump into it. This was a little too abnormal. Did Li He have some kind of backup plan? Before Mo Qingyun and the others could figure it out, Li He laughed complacently. He revealed a playful sneer and said, Mo Qingyun, do you really think that there are only the 4 of us guarding the Sky Sword Sacred Mountain? Thump. As soon as Li He said this, Mo Qingyun and the others' expressions immediately changed. A strong sense of unease rose up in their hearts. It was just as they had guessed. Li He really did have a backup plan. But what was it? While Mo Qingyun and the rest were puzzled, a destructive aura came from within Sky Sword Mystic Mountain. Then, they saw a black-robed old man riding a single-horned tiger slowly flying over. It's an underworld tiger at the late stage of the Sovereign Realm. The old man on the underworld tiger is a Sovereign Realm expert. The expressions of Mo Qingyun and the others instantly turned solemn when they saw the black-robed old man approaching them on the Hell Tiger. A wisp of fear flashed in their eyes. Sovereign Realm expert. The old man was a Sovereign Realm expert. This time it was really troublesome. This situation was completely out of their expectations. In a battle between Sovereign Realm experts, the sudden appearance of a Sovereign Realm expert could change the situation. It was no wonder Li He was so confident. Young Lord, what should we do now? We can't deal with a Sovereign Realm expert. Qi Lian looked solemn when he saw the black-robed old man. He asked for Mo Qingyun's opinion. Tai Tu and the rest looked solemn when they heard Qi Lian's question. They waited for Mo Qingyun's next order. While they were waiting for Mo Qingyun's orders, He Xian suddenly said, Qingyun, the black-robed old man has just entered the Sovereign Realm. The Iron Wing and I should be able to hold him back for a while. When the Iron Wing and I hold him back, you take everyone back to Sky Pool Mystic Mountain. Supreme Su Chao and the rest relaxed when they heard He Xian's words. They waited for Mo Qingyun's final decision. No! Mo Qingyun shook his head and rejected He Xian's suggestion. He said solemnly, Senior He Xian, you and the rest will deal with Li He's group and the underworld tiger. As for the black-robed old man, leave him to me. Young lord, you can't. Qingyun, the black-robed old man might have just entered the Sovereign Realm, but he's easy to deal with. Master, I think Senior He Xian is right. Let's go with his suggestion. He Xian and the others were shocked when they heard Mo Qingyun's decision. They hurriedly tried to persuade Mo Qingyun. However, Mo Qingyun shook his head and interrupted them before they could finish. After interrupting them, Mo Qingyun revealed a solemn expression and said in a low voice, That old man is at the Sovereign Realm, so the heavenly pool divine mountain and green cloud palaces formations can't stop him at all. So, it's useless even if we flee now. Why don't we fight them now? But, if you fight him with your cultivation, I'm afraid, He Xian and the others were still worried when they heard Emo Qingyun's decision. They tried to persuade Emo Qingyun again. Don't worry. Emo Qingyun waved his hand in the face of everyone's persuasion. He comforted them. Although my cultivation realm is lower than yours, my grasp of the power of laws is no weaker than yours. Moreover, in terms of trump cards, you are far inferior to me. Don't worry, nothing will happen to me. Tai Tu and the others fell silent when they heard Emo Qingyun's words. They didn't know how to refute Emo Qingyun's words. Emo Qingyun wasn't lying. In terms of trump cards and methods, Emo Qingyun was indeed the strongest among them. Hey, are you guys done discussing? Who wants to die first? Chapter 1080. He Gemin Gowu, I implore you to kill these fellows. After Li he spoke proudly. He revealed a respectful expression and requested the black-robed old man beside him. Okay. The black-robed old man nodded. He lifted his leg and kicked the hell tiger's abdomen. He came to the front of Li He and the others and said coldly, Juniors, I don't want to waste too much time. All of you can come together. After hearing Sovereign Go Wu's words, Emo Qingyun gave He Xian and the others a look and said in a deep voice, Follow the plan from before. Leave this black-robed old man to me. Okay. After hearing Emo Qingyun's words, He Xian and the others nodded and charged towards Li He and the others. You're crazy. You're actually letting Emo Qingyun deal with Sovereign Go Wu alone. Li He's expression changed drastically when he saw He Xian and the others charging towards him. He exclaimed in shock. He couldn't believe that He Xian and the others actually let Emo Qingyun deal with the Sovereign Realm expert Sovereign Go Wu alone. Were they trying to send Emo Qingyun to his death? However, He Xian and the others chose to ignore his question and bombarded him with their strongest attack. In He Xian and the others' opinion, they could go and help Emo Qingyun after killing Li He and the others as quickly as possible. In addition, while He Xian and the others were dealing with Li He and the others, they also separated a strand of their consciousness to pay attention to Emo Qingyun's situation. Once they discovered that Emo Qingyun was in danger, they would rush over to rescue Emo Qingyun. Sovereign Go Wu's expression instantly turned gloomy when he saw He Xian and the others' actions. He released a terrifying black essence force. He was furious. Completely furious. He was a top expert at the Supremacy realm, yet the other party had actually sent a kid at the half-exalt realm to deal with him. This was the greatest insult to him. This kind of thing was really too much. He absolutely could not accept it. You've gone too far. Today, this old man will tear you to pieces. He Gemin Go Wu roared, then controlled the Hell Tiger to chase after He Xian and the others. However, before He Gemin Go Wu could move, his path was blocked. Old man, your opponent is me. Where do you think you're going? Emo Qingyun smiled faintly as he blocked Go Wu's path. After which, he curled his lips in disdain and said, Don't be upset by my words. I alone am enough to deal with you. Brat, you've got guts to block my way. Since you're tired of living, I'll fulfill your wish. As soon as He Gemin Go Wu finished speaking, he raised his hand and grabbed at Emo Qingyun. A thundercloud like Yuan power blasted out. As Yuan power surged out, the entire world darkened, as if a storm was about to arrive. At the same time, the dark Yuan power in the air transformed into a giant eagle claw that tyrannically swiped at Emo Qingyun. Blazing Sun. In the face of He Gemin Go Wu's tyrannical attack, Emo Qingyun didn't dare to be careless. He immediately used the first move of the Celestial Fury Art. Then, a blue shield of water rapidly formed around his body, emitting a monstrous flame energy. As soon as the blazing sun shield formed, The dark eagle claw in the air descended and smashed against the blazing sun shield. Sizzle, 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 ear-piercing sounds immediately rang out from where the blazing sun shield and the dark eagle claw collided. As the ear-piercing sounds rang out, a thick black mist was emitted from where the blazing sun shield and the dark eagle claw collided. Then, everyone watched as the dark eagle claw dissipated bit by bit until it completely disappeared. He'd blocked it. Heejemin Go-woo was stunned when he saw that his full-force attack had actually been blocked by Mo Qingyun. He couldn't believe that this was real. One had to know that he was a sovereign powerhouse. Even a sovereign powerhouse who just entered the sovereign realm wasn't someone a half-step sovereign could easily contend with. It had to be said that Mo Qingyun's current performance gave him a very strange feeling. While Heejemin Go-woo was stunned by Mo Qingyun's performance, He Xian and Iron Wing, who had been paying attention to Mo Qingyun, were similarly shocked. They hadn't expected that Mo Qingyun would be able to easily block Heejemin Go-woo's furious attack. The young lord actually managed to block Heejemin Go-woo's attack. That's not right. The technique that the young lord used just now seems to be a fairly powerful immortal art. Immortal art? Could it have been left to the young lord by the previous master? It shouldn't have been left to the young lord by the previous master. The previous master wasn't even an adult when he was alive, so he couldn't have had the time to cultivate an immortal art. He Xian and Iron Wing were puzzled. They didn't know where Mo Qingyun's immortal art had come from. No matter what, the young lord now has the strength to protect himself. He should be able to hold on until we kill Li He's group. Now, let's attack with all our strength and try to kill Li He's group in the shortest time possible. He Xian and Iron Wing relaxed a lot when they learned about Mo Qingyun's situation. They no longer worried about Mo Qingyun's life, and went all out to kill Li He's group. As He Xian and Iron Wing went all out, the pressure on Li He's group immediately multiplied. Soon, they fell into a desperate struggle. He blocked it? When he saw that Mo Qingyun had actually resisted his full-forced attack, Heejemin Go-woo instantly revealed a shocked expression, and he said, "No, it's absolutely impossible. How could a kid at the quasi-exalt realm possibly resist my full-forced attack? No, the brat was only able to block my full power attack because of the spell he used just now." Yes, that's the spell, that's an immortal art. After a brief moment of shock, Heejemin Go-woo's eyes lit up as he realized the crux of the matter. He looked at Mo Qingyun with pleasant surprise. This old man's luck is truly not bad. To think that I'd be able to obtain an immortal art after coming to the Tianhun continent. Brat, I'll give you a chance to live. As long as you tell me the immortal art, I'll spare your puny life. As soon as he finished speaking, Ruler Go-woo revealed an expression as if he had Mo Qingyun in his grasp. He confidently waited for Mo Qingyun's reply. In his opinion, Mo Qingyun definitely wouldn't refuse his request. After all, Mo Qingyun was only a half-step exalt. Even if he cultivated an immortal art, he still wouldn't have a chance of survival. Now that he was giving Mo Qingyun the chance to trade the immortal art for his life, it was a very good deal. Mo Qingyun had no reason to refuse. However, to Heejemin Go-woo's surprise, Mo Qingyun sneered when he heard his words. "Old man, you want the immortal art. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.